full of stories. He is quite a guy. Sit around the campfire and hear him tell his tale. Some may be able to relate to him quite well. We're all just people looking for a place to go. Well, Sty has made one, and it is quite a show. Come meet Sty. He's quite the guy. If you're feeling lonely, come and make a friend. If you need a story, on Sty you can depend. His voice is soothing like a lullaby. Sometimes he brings a tear to my eye. Sit around the campfire and hear him tell his tale. Some may be able to relate to him quite well. We're all just people looking for a place to go. Well, Sty has made one, and it is quite a show. Come meet Sty. He's quite the guy.
Well, hi everybody. Hope you're having a good Sunday. Welcome to the Sty Shack. Yeah, this is episode 44. Oh my gosh, we've been doing this for almost a year, the Sty Shack Sunday. Take a look at who's out there in the chat real quick. We got Alexander with Old Country Homesteading. Great to see you, Alexander. You got Nabol. Hey, Nabol. Good to see you. Awesome. He's a friend from way across the pond. Yeah. And there's Marine Mom. Awesome. It's so good to see you. Oh, it is so good. And Samantha Lee. I've got her down in the basement. She'll be coming up soon. Yes. Scott K. Welcome. It's great to see you, Scott. Awesome. Yeah, we got a few folks. They're streaming in. Folks are filing on in, trying to grab a good seat in the old Sty Shack, pull out all the benches, all the chairs, everything we can get, and everybody can crowd on in here. Show up too late. Be standing room only, right? Hey. Well, quick update on the week. I've had an odd week. Busy on some days, lazy on others. That's about all I can tell you. My chemo last week, the only bad side effect is I lost my taste buds, so I couldn't I could tell the difference between a liquid and a solid. That's it, until Thursday. So from Monday till Thursday, I couldn't taste a damn thing. But everything I ate looked really good. It looked really good, smelled good. Couldn't taste a thing. But that changed. By Friday morning, I could taste again. And that was nice. That helped out. Yesterday, I went for prime rib with my youngest son, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I could taste it. Prime rib and onion rings and a salad. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I've got somebody in the basement. I don't want to leave her there. I want her up here by me. We're going to bring her up right now. There she is. Hi, Samantha.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
I'm here.
Yep. It's good to see you.
Oh, she said, I want a massage chair and a plate of bacon and cheese. Sorry, you should have finished that off with please. You ain't getting it. You disrespectful old curmudgeon. You ain't getting it. a massage chair. I had that gal come and give me a massage about a month ago. She charges $40 a session, and it's about 2 hours. The massage is an hour and a half, but she's here for about 2 hours. Nice young gal. She's a clinical therapist and does massage work for people that have different diseases that are terminal. And it's really just to keep you mobile and to make sure that some of your pain is managed. But boy, is she good. And I told her, please don't hurt me, But boy, she come walking in the house, she's packing this big old massage table, and I don't know, I bet you she's no bigger than Samantha, and she's packing it in here like it weighs 5 pounds. I tried to move that damn thing, and it weighs about 35 pounds. And she's just swinging that, carrying it in here like it ain't nothing. I'm like, holy shit. She could hurt me. I think she could hurt me. And she told me, well, let's get to it. She says, what you need to do is you need to head to your bedroom and get yourself in a pair of shorts, and we'll get you right on the table and get working on you. I said, okay. So I got a pair of shorts on, and I felt bad for her. I kind of humbled that way. I don't want pizza. I don't want people to have to see all the surgical damage they've done. And she don't bat an eye. She couldn't give a shit. And the minute I got on that table, put my face through that hole in the table, I go, don't hurt me. Just don't hurt me. Man, I think you could hurt me. She goes, I promise I won't hurt you. And she didn't. Yeah, I felt pretty good for 2 days after that. So, hey, Kutsa Scum, JFF. Said eyeballs. You know where that's coming from. There's Freeman James. Good to see you, brother. Awesome. And we got Step Van Dan. Hugs from Minnesota. You betcha, bud. You betcha. And there's Rebecca Felter. Awesome. Good to see you, Rebecca. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Hey, everybody.
All the great folks that we know.
Yeah.
Showing up. Before I get too far into this stream, I want to share just a quick picture with you folks. Here's another one with Sty without a beard. This is a picture of me and my brother, and I'm estimating it's about 1978. And my brother, exactly 10 years ago, 2 days ago. So if you go back 2 days, it's exactly 10 years ago, he passed away from cancer. So just kind of a family pic to share with you guys. But there I am on the left without a beard. And it's hard to believe that picture is in the house that my brother had just bought at that time. And his wife and kids, that's been the family home ever since then, since about 1978. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Hard to believe that he's been gone for 10 years, but boy, you look at that, 1978, holy Jesus. But if you think about it, that was 1978, and this was later I believe it was later, it was later. It was That picture was taken like in the spring. This picture was taken that same fall. So it didn't take long for me to put a beard on. Same year.
Wow.
Surprising what time will do to you. Old country homesteading could use a massage. Yeah, Rebecca. Yeah, cancer sucks. There's no getting around it. Some people are real lucky. Some people aren't when it comes to that. It's a flip of the coin, you know. I've got, I think, 3 more weeks before they do another scan on me. She says, for $20, I'll come up and whack you with a 2x4. Yeah, right. It goes to show what kind of friend he is. He'd even charge me for that. No? Yeah. Step and dance, swing over this way with your 2x4. Hey guys, settle down. You know, this isn't MMA here. You know,
They're testing their strength. Come on.
We can all flex muscle on YouTube. I love it. Samantha might remember back in the day, I had an individual that was active in the military at the time. He's getting close to his retirement. And he's talking all nasty and just, I mean, he had gotten to the point of being disrespectful, to being downright an asshole with me on a live stream. And I said, hey, cocksucker, I'll give you my fucking address and you show up on my fucking step and let's see who the fuck walks home. Because you ain't. All your military and everything you want to sing and dance about on fucking YouTube, you chicken shit son of a bitch, you get your ass over here to my house and let's see who comes out the winner. I said,
oh, God.
I'll probably end up in the hospital for a fucking couple of days, but you'll remember that beating until you die, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Oh, he wanted to play tough on YouTube.
Oh, no.
I gave him a wide open invitation. I'll give you my damn home address, man. Show up on my step. I'm looking forward to it. You know, you get in my face about how tough you are. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I got plenty of equalizers around here that you'd be sorry you knocked on my door.
I don't know, man. Starting fights on the internet to me is just about as worthless as going to a beach and not getting in the water. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
That's it.
It's fucking stupid. Some fighting online. Idiot.
It's funny that you use that analogy because it was probably only about 4 or 5 years ago. I was walking along the shoreline down here in Ashland, Wisconsin. We got this big public beach down here. And there were these 3 gals. And the 2 of them got the other gal by her wrists and they're trying to drag her to the lake. And they're all in swimming suits, you know, and they're trying to drag her to the lake. And one of them said, you're the only damn person I know that will go to a beach and never get in the water. She goes,
nice,
but you're going. She said, you're going in the water today. And oh my God, that girl screamed like a banshee as they drug her into the water. And she gets out of there and she must have used 3 beach towels to dry herself off. And she goes, now I feel so filthy. I got to go home. And they're just shaking their heads. What the hell? If all you want is a fucking tan, why don't you go to the goddamn salon for that? You know, you come down here, you lay on the beach, period. That's it. That's all you ever do. Just lay on the beach. Never get in the damn water. It's hotter than shit. You bitch about how hot it is, but you never get in the water. You know? So yeah. Yeah. And she said Lake Superior's damn cold, especially this year. That's why,
Oh, we got some cold water. Well, thank you, Rebecca.
hey Peppers,
Hey, Peppers, what's up, man?
great to
Get
see
on up
you.
here. You should come say hi.
Uh, yeah, Rebecca.
Peppers in a while.
Yeah, I got to watch Sam getting ready for the show. Yeah, yeah. I keep telling her, you don't have to go to all that damn work.
We'll leave it to their imagination.
Yeah, yeah, right.
That's funny.
Yeah,
You gotta make it somewhat interesting for them.
That's the gals at the cancer center I got to go to. Oh, they're all, I mean, every one of them, they're gorgeous, these gals. I mean, they're beautiful young ladies. I mean, but when you pay close attention, there's only a couple of them that wear makeup of any amount. Otherwise, yeah, they come to work plain Jane. You get what you get.
It's
And
just nothing on the skin.
I finally asked the one gal, I said, you know, I'm really actually surprised that you don't wear makeup. And she looked at me and she said, some of us, she said it's not all of us, but some of us feel it's a little pretentious to show up at a cancer center, people that are basically losing their looks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we come in all dolled up. She said we'd rather wear bright colored clothes than make ourselves up to look better. And I didn't get it at first, but then I put two and two together where she was coming from. Hey, woods runners sneaking in on me.
Doesn't matter how much makeup you're wearing if your attitude ain't right.
That's right. Because the gals, then I started to think, well, I got to pay attention to the gals that do wear the makeup. There's like 3 out of the 9 of them that work that department. And those 3 that are wearing all the makeup, they actually have probably the best personalities too. Yeah, at least in my opinion, they've got the best personalities. They're positive about everything. I mean, they do whatever they can to put a smile on your face, you know. And where the other gals, they're very caring. They're very, you know, it's almost like they're there to take special care of you.
Some people rarely, but some people do. They take care of each other's, and they take care, or sorry, other people, and they take care of themselves as well. You can see that. You know, like
that's it. That's it. Well, I'm sorry. This is not fat bashing or anything, but I had this woman. I had to go to the doctor because my lower back went out. I injured my back years ago, and every Kuta's back in the chat. But my back will go out about every 6 or 8 years, and it usually lays me up for 1 to 8 weeks. And well, my back went out. The problem is the pain that goes with that makes it hard to breathe. Every time you took a breath, the pain just increased, you know. So I go to see the doctor. I got to get something to manage that. This woman, I've never seen her before. And at that time, I went to this huge medical conglomerate. It's got 500 freaking doctors, and and they only see a patient for 15 minutes. They don't spend any time listening to you. They're just there to give you a 15-minute spiel and then get the hell out of here and do what I told you to. Well, this woman walks in the room, and I'm sorry, but she's about 5'2" and weighs about 300 pounds. And she's got the biggest, nastiest wart you ever seen on her nose. And she's got another one on her cheek. And she's carrying, you don't walk into a patient's exam room carrying a Big Mac from McDonald's. And she's chowing on that Big Mac. And she sets it down. And she's looking through my file, and she goes, if you lost a little weight, that would put less stress on your back. I said, that's it. Visit's done. It's over. I don't want to hear another freaking word. Well, no, I have more to say. You're smoking, and you do drink, and everything I was doing was terrible for me. And finally, I got up out of the chair, and I pointed at her, and I said, have you ever looked in the damn mirror? Look in the mirror and then think about what you tell people like me. How dare you tell me about my health? How the hell could they even give you a license to practice medicine? You're nasty. I said, you're so obese. And I said, and your hair doesn't look like it's been washed in 2 months. And you're trying to tell me how to stay healthy. I said, you're just an insult to this whole process. I'd rather go home and be in pain than to listen to you. And that's what you end up with on YouTube a lot, is you find out the person that's been preaching at you about a certain thing. You get one look at them and you go, oh my God, they don't practice what they preach. That's for sure. They like to preach, but boy, they don't practice it. And
there's a lot of preachers out there.
Yeah, a lot of them, isn't it?
Yeah. You just gotta let it go in one ear and out the other. Unless it's actually good advice, then hey.
You're right.
Win-win.
Right. Yeah. If they got something worth saying, I'm willing to listen,
Yeah.
Yeah. But why are you wasting your time on me? Because I ain't listening to you. And I heard an old guy say that last week. This old gal was asking, when's the last time you've been to church? He said, about a half an hour ago. And she goes, what do you mean a half hour ago? He says, I was walking down the street and I got preached at 4 times on the way home. And she's looking at him like, what the? And I said, I get it. I said, there's more preachers out here on the street than there are in the churches, for crying out loud. I mean, so why don't people go to? Why do people not go to church on Sunday? Because they get preached at every other day of the week by everybody else. So they want a day off to not be preached at. And
people leave each other alone up here. But like, I'm sorry, but if there's somebody screaming in the street like that, they'd probably get something chucked at them from a car window or something. It wouldn't work out well in Alaska. I don't think that would fare well for anybody up here.
When I moved here, see what northwestern Montana was the same way. The same. Well, I'll never forget. We were renting a lot, and we put a trailer house on it from a guy that owned a bar, which was just behind our trailer house, actually. And he owned this big bar. It was a big, well-known bar in the area. we're all sitting in there bullshitting, drinking beers one afternoon. And got the local TV going. All of a sudden, here comes this alert across the TV. They're looking for this individual on a motorcycle, and they had a picture of the guy and the motorcycle. And they've got all these cops in Idaho looking for him, and they got all these people in western Montana looking for him and shit. And just at the end of that news flash, that ended, motorcycle pulls up. And I looked out the window and I go, holy shit, that's the motorcycle they just showed on that news break. And the bartender's watching. Here comes the guy walking in. He takes his helmet off. That's the guy. Well, the guy was wanted for raping a 12-year-old girl. It was so good. It was so good. I go, hey guys, does anybody have a rifle I can borrow? And they're all like, well, not here. We don't have one here. And I asked the bartender, I said, Billy Joe was his name. And we called him BJ. I go, hey, BJ, you got a gun that I could borrow? BJ goes, not here. And I go, damn it, I'll be right back. And I walked out and I went over to my trailer house. And all that I had handy was a .22 rifle. I didn't have any ammo for it handy. Okay. I walked back with a .22 rifle and I laid it on the bar and I go, BJ, have you got any ammo? I hope you have ammo for this gun. And he goes, let me check. And he's checking all these drawers in the back bar and he's digging around and he throws 3 bullets on the bar and he goes, there you go. That's all I got. I go, 1 is enough. And I put the 3 in the gun and I walked over to the guy and I said, and the guy had ordered a beer from the waitress. And there was about 12, 14 of us in there. And I just walked up to the guy and I said, I looked at him and I go, where are you from? And he goes, Idaho. I said, whereabouts in Idaho? Coeur d'Alene. I said, where are you heading? He goes, I don't know. I just decided to take a road trip. I said, if I were you, I'd take a road trip too. And I turned around and I said, Billy Joe, call the sheriff. This is our guy.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And then I went back to the bar, set the rifle on the bar, and that guy tried 2 or 3 times to get up and leave. And one of us in the bar would say, oh, no, you ain't going nowhere. Hey, we'll buy you another beer. I have another beer. He even asked the sheriff, I don't know why these guys kept buying me beers until you got here. And the sheriff said, because they know that you ain't going to have another beer for many years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they all know. Yeah, let him enjoy a few beers because he's going away. We only stuck our nose into things that needed to be our business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we minded our own business, you know. We didn't think twice. You know, you hear a gunshot. Like up here, anywhere near this city I live in, you hear a gunshot. Oh, fuck, they got 15 calls to the police department. Well, I know what it is. Somebody shot a damn deer like this one that wants to live in my yard and decide we're having venison tomorrow on the barbecue. We're sick of all these town deer. It used to be up here, if you heard one shot, everybody go, somebody's eating deer. Because we minded our own damn business, you know.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
The way we've got a very liberal college here in town. And they love to protest down by the post office and in front of the police department. I mess with them all the time. I got my truck back on the road, so now I can play with the kids from the college a little more. They hate that truck because it doesn't get good fuel mileage. And I lie to them. I tell them it only gets 8 miles a gallon. It actually gets 12. But I tell them, no, it only gets about 8 miles a gallon. And they use up all the fossil fuel and pollute the earth. You're going to kill everybody. I said, we all got to die sometime.
Yep.
And then they say, aren't you worried about the future? Why should I be? I ain't going to be here. You can be worried about the future for me. That's your problem. Whatever I did in the past now has become your problem. But I just made sure my family was fed and we had some of the better things in life, and we just minded our own business and did our own thing. Now everybody thinks it's their right to mind my business. And I said, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if the world comes to an end 150 years from now. Are you kidding me? It's all going to come crashing down someday, but I won't be here when it does. So what do I give a shit? But now I notice people are getting braver in town. The other day I walked into the post office and got my mail, come walking out, and there was a couple protesters out there screaming and hollering something. Here comes a old ratty pickup truck by. In the state of Wisconsin, you can allow people to ride in the box of the truck as long as they're over the age of 16. They've got 4 people in the box of the truck and 3 crammed in the front seat. They stopped that truck right out front of the post office, started yelling at those protesters and telling them, you know what you need to do is shut up. Just shut up. Nobody in town, you're making a lot of noise, but nobody's listening. You know, don't you realize that? Nobody here gives a shit what you have to say. Just shut up. And yes, yeah, good. Yeah. When people start getting out of hand, somebody needs to say so, you know? Yeah. Clean your shit up. Quit acting. Yeah. And it's not that I encourage people to go looking for trouble, but boy, when you see it, don't just be quiet about it, you know?
What's funny is there's always some loudmouth person, and then it's usually the quietest one that gets up and does something about it.
That's it.
It usually is the quietest person in the room that finally decides, just, all right, this guy's gone too far. And he's just
I hope you all heard that, because she is dead on.
Hey, Grandpa's Adventures.
Hey, Grandpa's Adventures. It's so good to see you. But you're dead on, Samantha. I learned way back, junior high, we had this one kid. He's always quiet. He never had much to say about nothing. And if people picked on him, tried to bully him and shit, he just had nothing to say about it. He tried to avoid, always tried to avoid. He did not want to be pulled out of the crowd, period. Just leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And one of our bullies in school, and he was a brute. That guy was a brute. He went up to that little guy that's always quiet, and he grabbed that little guy by the shirt, and he says, I've been going to school with you my whole life. And he says, today you're finally getting an ass whooping. And you could hear it, pop, 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 pop. And the big guy sprawled out laying on the floor.
Oh, God.
And that little guy leans over him and he goes, say whatever you want, but don't touch me. And he walked off.
Yeah.
He just walked away.
Yeah.
And everybody said, yeah, Grandpa's Adventures. Could you mess? All right, guys, this is for Grandpa's Adventures. This is not for everybody to jump on, okay? I'm going to send an invite out here. I'm going to put it in the chat for just a little while, so Grandpa's Adventures can catch it and hop up here. There you go. There you go. I'll
Right on.
if I end up with a bunch of people showing up in the basement, you're going to be sitting in the basement a while, and you don't want to be down there. I haven't cleaned out the rat traps. There he
Unless it's
is.
someone, yeah, unless it's someone you can't wait to see.
It's great to see you, man.
And you as well. How you feeling?
I'm feeling as well as I possibly can. Let's put it that way, okay? Yeah.
I hear you.
They
And,
don't.
just to touch on what you're saying, the problem that's going on in the world right now is there's not enough people that stand up and say something.
Yep,
That's it. That's it.
yep.
I mean,
And we do need that right now, more than ever. We need
Oh, I mean,
somebody
come on,
who
you got,
actually has an appropriate voice to speak.
right.
they took Christianity out of school. You can't talk about God, but you need to support the rainbow flag. No, I'm sorry.
When I
Couldn't agree more.
when I saw the White House with that rainbow flag front and center and our American flag on both sides of it, you don't set our country aside for anything. And I it actually made me feel sick to my stomach to see that.
Well,
Why don't they hang the Chinese flag in the center when they come and visit? Why don't they hang the Russian flag in the center when they come and visit? Because we come first, the whole nation, and a small minority that has these pride issues. I don't mind. Let's have a Pride Day, but that includes the USA. That includes red, white, and blue. Don't give me this crap that it all has to do with LGBTQ plus crap. No, we should all be proud that we're Americans. There's an awful lot of bones out there, an awful lot of bones out there laying in the ground. They gave us the right to be able to lock our door and go to bed at night and know that we're going to get up in the morning. So as far as I'm concerned, anybody that wants to put us second to anything, put our country second to anything, then they don't belong in our country. They don't. You got to be part of it or get lost.
Well, myself, I'm a veteran, and I found seeing that disgusted me.
Yes.
And second of all, it's if you were somebody else, that's actually against the law.
Yes. Well,
It states that right in the Constitution.
Right.
No other flag shall be above the American flag.
Right. And they went beyond the Constitution, actually made it statutory law on how that flag is to be represented, how it's to be flown, what every color on the flag means. Everything about that flag is written in law, but they break that law constantly. They constantly break that law. But it's just like with our Supreme Court justices. I mean, they say, "Oh, well, we're investigating that guy that wanted to kill what's his name? Which justice was it? Kavanaugh. He wanted to kill Kavanaugh. Well, we're investigating that. We got charges against him. Well, what about the hundreds of people that were gathered outside of those Supreme Justices' homes? And those justices had children and grandchildren, family members in those homes. And it's written right in the goddamn USCA. You cannot interfere with a justice at all. But yet not a single person was charged. Why can these people get away with constantly breaking our laws? I mean,
the same reason that the son of the vice president can have 2 different felony charges and gets probation.
Yeah.
We have a 2-tier justice system, and I actually see a civil war happening in this country, and it ain't going to turn off for the left like they think it's going to, because
No.
I don't know any soldier that's going to fire upon American citizens.
Right. There isn't a soldier out there, left, right, or in the middle, that is going to violate his oath to the Constitution. He's there to defend us, not to attack us.
You know, we've turned into a banana republic. We go after our political rivals and try to get them all mucked up in court so they can't run. And you know, I can understand, because of the way he's ran his mouth. There's a lot of people out there that don't like President Trump, but you know what? He did good things for this country.
Well, see, and that's it, is how did Biden get in office? The no Trumpers. They didn't vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. That's all they did. Because they have no good reason for voting for Biden. They had no good reason. So the only thing they could come up with was a good excuse, and that's, we don't want Trump. Well, wait a minute. There's even liberals out there that admit, I couldn't stand Trump. I cannot stand him. But boy, things were a lot better when he was in office. You know, they're realizing that you don't have to like the guy. You have to like his policy and the outcomes. That's what we're looking for, are the outcomes. We want to see what best benefits us.
Well,
if you don't see that, then why are you supporting that person?
Everybody now wants to sit down around the campfire and sing Kumbaya with people that hate us.
Right.
And the world doesn't work that way. And do I wish the world was better? Yes. But the only thing we've done constant since the beginning of time is kill one another.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, we're talking about laws and the like. One thing people don't realize is when we were formed as a nation, guess what laws we had? We had the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's it. There weren't laws. There weren't volumes. Has anybody, you know, how many people in the audience have been to an actual law library where they don't have any books in there except law? That's all they have. There's only a few in the nation that are all inclusive, that have every law written. You couldn't read every law that's been written since the Constitution has been passed. You couldn't read every law unless they determined you would have to have 6 lifetimes, and you would have to read the law 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 6 lifetimes in order to read all of the laws that have been written since the Constitution. That is freaking insane. Well, what are half the laws that we find ourselves trying to abide by? There's statutory law or regulation. First of all, regulation's not law. Everybody wants to scream and holler. The regulations say, regulation, they don't call it law. They don't call it statutory law for a good reason, because it was put on us by a bureaucracy, by a department of the government, not by Congress. It was not passed by Congress. It was passed by others, people that weren't voted into office. If you take and whittle it all back to just the House and the Senate, what they've passed in law, you shave off over 60% of all the laws that we have in the country. Now, you look at those laws, they pass a bill that they say is now law, and it's 6 1,000 pages long?
Yeah.
What kind of bullshit is that? When you can take the Constitution and in readable size print and stick it in your shirt pocket.
Yeah.
That's what we started out with, not what we've got today. I'd like to see us end up going back to what we started out with. And
Well, you know, a lot of people, Sty, don't even know why the Second Amendment was made into the Constitution. It wasn't for the right to bear arms against one another. It was they wanted to make sure that we could protect ourselves against the government in case the government's doing exactly what they're doing now.
right.
And
Right.
that's why they're afraid.
Yep. Yeah, is our only protection against tyranny was for us to be able to be armed and
And then
say,
what
oh,
was
no,
it?
no, no, no. Government can't do this. Not against its people.
And then what was our president's answer to that? Well, good luck with that because we have tanks and jets.
They better take a look at who's operating those tanks and jets. There's an awful lot of people in our armed services, like you had said, they aren't going to turn arms against their own people.
They're not going to shoot upon U.S. citizens for believing in something that they probably believe in themselves.
Right.
I mean, I remember when Shit for Brains was inaugurated, one of the military groups turned their back on them.
Yep.
I'm just tired of everything being pushed down my throat day after day after day after day. Live your life, but keep it away from the friggin' children.
That's right. That's right. All we need to teach our children should be taught at home, and all the schools should teach our children, are all the basics of knowledge: English, math, science. We don't need them trying to moralize our children. We do that. We do that at home.
Oh, and that latest comment was, they're just not your children. They're all our children.
Yes,
Bullshit.
no.
Bullshit.
Oh boy. Well, I butted
Unless
my
you
head.
carried that sucker for 9.5 months and pushed it out of your
Exactly.
hoo-ha like I did, you don't get to call the shots with my child. No, thank you.
Good for you,
You're
girl.
not telling my child shit. I'm telling my child. And I'm telling you what, you try to tell my child that, oh, he should do this or that, or, like, oh,
Right.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah, you'd
can
be
fight
so
with
much
me.
you'd be so much better as a little girl than a boy.
Yeah.
If I hear
no.
some sucker say that to my kid,
Oh yeah,
they're gonna see a different side of Sam.
And then it's the abortion thing. My body, my choice. Well, I'm sorry. If that's the case, then why are they arresting women and taking their babies away when they're born when they found out they were doing cocaine or
Right.
heroin?
Right.
It's their body and their choice. And you know what their answer is before they think, well, you could hurt the baby. Well, you know what? You don't think you're hurting that baby when you're grinding it up into pieces when they're 6,
Right.
7 months old?
Yeah. The thing is
Hey, Dr. Smith.
I don't understand how anybody can justify or come up with a logical reason for this voluntary abortion thing. I mean, I don't see how anybody can justify it in any sense. That, they try, but they, my body, my choice, right? Okay. Now there's two people in one. You've got this child that is the weakest class of all people in our country is children. They need the protection more than anybody else in this whole damn world. Those kids need protection. The minute there's a body there, and that don't take but weeks, and there's a body there, that's two bodies. She says, my body, my right. Well, if you give that kid 10, 15 years, that kid can then tell you, it's my body, it's my right. You thought of aborting me, of killing me, but it was my body, it's my right to exist. As long as I can exist, who are you to stop me from existing? And that's where, as far as I'm concerned, except in the absolute strictest exceptions, abortion is murder. That's all it is. It's murder.
I'm kind of hard pressed on it when it comes to rape or incest.
Yeah. But that's such a hard thing, and I don't pray anybody have to go through that.
No. Then again, they had that day after pill, and geez, what about just not having unprotected sex? How about that?
Yeah. Whatever happened. I noticed that now. I go to 4 different medical facilities. I turned the clock back about 6 years. Every one of those facilities had the great big basket with all the free condoms.
Yeah.
You go in there, just like getting a Kleenex. You go in there, grab a handful of condoms. They don't have them anymore. None of those clinics that I go to have those free. They don't have free contraceptives anymore, but yet they got postings about the abortion rules. Wait a minute. What happened to the contraceptives? Why have those disappeared? Why has that issue disappeared? Did you know? I can't remember the dollar amount, but it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I can't remember how many hundreds of millions, but the U.S. is providing third world countries with contraceptives. We're shipping them to all these African countries and other third world countries by the airplane full. You need to slow down with having kids because of your economic state and blah, blah, blah. You need to have protected sex. So here, we're giving you contraceptives. Why are we sending hundreds of millions of dollars of condoms over to these third world countries, but they don't give them away free over here anymore? But they argue over, you should have the right to just kill it. Don't even create it. Yeah. If you don't want it, don't create it. And if you create it, you need to take responsibility for it. I heard this young couple, fortunately, the girl's mother and father were longtime friends of mine, but I heard their daughter and her boyfriend telling them that they were going to get married and that they were going to get married because she ended up pregnant. Oh. Well, the guy speaks up and says, but keep in mind, it was an accident. We had no intentions of her getting pregnant, this and that. I said, whoa, stop. I said, so you're telling me she was walking down the sidewalk with a mini skirt on and no panties? And he goes, what? I said, hear me out. And somebody had dropped $100 bill on the sidewalk, and you just happened to be walking behind her with your tool hanging out of your pants, and she bent over to get that $100 and you rear-ended her. Now that I would believe is an accident. But all the circumstances it would take for that to become an accident is pretty, I think that's pretty rare. Otherwise, everything else you say is bullshit because you intended on having sex with her. You purposely didn't use a contraceptive. She allowed it to happen. You wanted it to happen. Neither one of you said, not without a contraceptive. You got pregnant by your own choice. Well, we could abort the child. I said, so you're going to kill somebody because you had an accident out on the sidewalk in your miniskirt. I don't want to hear this bullshit. I said, you caused the situation. You need to take responsibility. And my friends, they looked at each other and they go, oh, Jesus. They said, the next issue that comes up in the family, we're calling him to come in and help us. They said, boy, you just put that. Yeah, you put that right in the basket.
I don't know about you, Sty, but mine were never an accident. They were very intentional, very thought out.
Our children, I can honestly say every single one of our children were intentional. They were accidentally intentional.
Yeah.
We didn't put a time for it. We didn't say, let's have a kid. So we're working at having a kid. What we did was we just said, well, we don't know how soon you'll become pregnant or if you even will, but let's quit with the contraceptives and have another kid. That's what we did. And then in our case, it was 2 years after the first one before we had another one. And then we had 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And then we were done. We're done. Perfect. As far as I was concerned, it was perfect because we had 2 boys and 2 girls. You know, it went boy, girl. So what a good time to stop, right? I mean,
well, if you raise 4 children all at once, you're done.
Yeah, I tell the 2 youngest ones once in a while that you're lucky we didn't say, well, we got a boy and a girl. Let's wrap it up at that. Yeah. Hey, old man River.
You know, everybody wants to take the easy way out. Nobody wants to be responsible anymore, and nobody has any friggin' morals. Everybody live and let live, you know.
That's the thing is my grandfather once said, if you want to teach somebody empathy and morals in life, you get a group of people together and you say, we're going to pull one name out of the hat. One name, just one name out of all of you. And all the rest of you are going to stand there and you're going to watch us cut all the fingers off of one hand. But you got to watch us cut every one of those fingers off. But we don't want to see any emotion. We don't want to see you go, oh, that's terrible or anything. Because it's all about you, right? It's not about the other guy. And we don't want an opinion from you after it's all done. Oh my God, does that create some discussion? There's no way in hell I want to stand there and watch you cut some poor sucker's finger off. It could be a guy, a gal, whoever's it could be anybody in this room. You're going to cut their fingers off in front of us, and the pain and misery they're going to go through. We got to watch that. That is just not right. That's not right, creating that kind of pain and suffering, even on us. Why should we have to watch it? Well, you're sounding awful moralistic, aren't you? Every person in this fucking world has morals. They just don't know how to apply them. They sons of bitches. I mean, everybody. Say what you're going to say, Sam.
I said that I agree with.
That I've gotten in arguments with people. I had the old burly tough guy. I put myself in that class for several years, and I lied too. You ain't never going to see a tear run down this cheek. Men don't cry. That don't happen.
Well, you know, there used to be a time.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Every single living person in this world has cried. Don't tell me that you haven't, because I won't believe you. You could try to prove it, but none of us were there for every moment of your life. We weren't there in the middle of the night when you're all alone. Don't tell me you don't have emotion, that you don't have deep-rooted convictions of morality. You have it. You just won't apply it. You just won't apply it. You make excuses to not have to take that responsibility to accept that you've got some morals, but yet you'll sit back and watch all of these things.
People are afraid to apply the moral, Sty.
Well, see, and that's a weakness
of the repercussion. You know, there used to be a time, no matter on how evil we were or the shit that we done as human beings, there was a line you didn't cross, and we don't have that line anymore. I had an argument, almost a fight with somebody that was telling me that I couldn't call a person a pedophile.
Have a good one, old man River. You take care of yourself.
You're to call that person MAP, a minor attracted person. No.
Ain't happening.
You know what my response was? Here in the state of Maine, that's one of the reasons that you have a right to bring out your firearm and take care of business without any other reason.
Yeah.
But
that rape and arson.
Mm-hmm.
I had a situation.
You take that seriously up here too.
I had a situation where I was hospitalized. Hey, Tim's here. Kirk Whipper, Voyager Center. Great to see you. He says, yes, I cry, Sty. Yeah, everybody has cried. Everybody, there's so much pain in this world. Don't tell me you haven't. You may have done it in secret, but don't tell me you haven't cried. That's bullshit. I ain't buying it. But on the pedophile thing, I had this same type of scenario where you can't say this, you can't say that shit. I'm in the hospital. I'm seeing an oncologist. They're going to look down my esophagus. This is before I was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Well, they're prepping me. And this, what I thought was a gal, walks into my room and said, I'm here to put an IV in you before they send you off to surgery to look inside of you. And she says, but before I do anything, you need to know that I am transgender. And I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Half that hospital heard me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop. Stop right there. From this point forward, don't mention that issue one more time. I said, I've got a couple of simple questions for you to answer. And the biggest one is, how qualified are you at putting an IV in me?
Exactly.
And they said, well, very qualified. In fact, I have a lot of people that always request me for when they have to get an IV. I said, so you're very well trained and you're very good at it. Absolutely. I guarantee you, you'll feel the least amount of pain possible. And I go, so my second question is, what the hell does that have to do with whatever gender you think you are?
Exactly. Why did that even have to be brought up?
And they said, but you need to be made aware. I said, I don't need to be made aware of anything. I said, I'm going to ask the oncologist the same fucking thing. How many times have you gone down and done what you do? How many times have you done that in your history? Are you good at it? Are you really good at it? I don't give a shit if he's a monkey. I mean, he can come in and he's a fucking monkey. And if they say he's the best oncologist in the country, okay, Fuzzy, are you a good oncologist? I want to know. Oh, here's all my credentials. Here's all the patients I've got. Yeah, I'm the best freaking oncologist monkey in the world. Okay. I don't give a fuck that he's a monkey. I want to know what he's going to do to me is good.
It could have been worse, Sty. They could have brought that up when they were going down your throat.
Yeah, and you can't respond.
But again,
but that person left the room after doing the IV. Left the room, and about 15 minutes later, they came back in and apologized for even bringing the topic up. They said, I was misunderstanding the hospital policy. If I'm asked, I have to disclose that. Otherwise, if I'm not asked, I don't have to say a word. And you're right, I shouldn't have even brought it up. She said, I was just here to do my job. And you reminded me of what my job was. Not who I am, what I am. It's what I can do. You were here for what I could do, not anything else about my life. And I said, you just made my day. Now, if you practice that outside of work, guess what? You get along in our society just fine because you live your life while the rest of us live ours. We don't need you constantly telling us that you have a right, you have a right, you have a right. I don't need anybody telling me what their rights are. I know what mine are. I don't need to hear what you think your rights are. I don't need to hear that shit. So don't bring it up all the time. Leave it alone. Exactly. That's like with gays and lesbians. I have gay and lesbian friends.
I do as well.
And they do not preach that people should be gay or lesbian. They don't go there. They don't even bring that topic up. I've never seen them bring the topic up. It's others that have brought it up about them. And the way they put it is what's that got to do with anything? Because what we're talking about doesn't have anything to do with, we're talking about what people do. And gay and lesbians are people too. They're just different than the majority. So what? You don't have to tell me you're gay or lesbian. Not, no. I don't need to hear it, you know.
You know what you do as an adult, Sty, that's your business. And if it's wrong, then it's between you and your maker. But
right.
You know, it shouldn't have anything to do with children. They don't need to learn that.
They need to learn anything. Right.
They need to learn English and math. And you know, I don't care if you associate with being a deer and eating shit in your backyard, but as soon as you cross that fucking brook, you're in my yard.
Right.
If they're not your kids, stay away from them.
Right.
Exactly.
And I repeat, if they're not your kids, stay away. You have no power or influence over my child. That's the bottom line in my period.
I'm so with Sam on this issue. I told an individual, he was telling a couple of my kids, he was telling them something I wasn't cool with. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. Don't be talking to my kids about that. And he goes, well, I've talked to my kids about it. I said, they're yours. These are mine. You will not be talking to them. And he says, you can't control what I have to say. I said, maybe not. I said, what I have a hard time controlling is not getting up and belting you right in the mouth for even questioning whether or not I decide what my kids listen to. I said, how dare you? That is a sacred line. You cannot step into my world with my children. You cannot go there.
That's where the problem lies now, Sty, is there isn't that line anymore.
Right.
You got people in Hollywood like Megan Fox and Charlize Theron that, geez, they adopt 2 boy children and they're both transgender.
Yeah.
And in California, a 10-year-old child can get puberty blockers without their parents' consent.
Right. I had to pay a $700 doctor bill. Now, I know they padded the hell out of that because my youngest daughter went to a clinic and they gave her the pill, contraceptives, right? Well, here they had seen her like 3 times, and all of a sudden I get this bill for $690 some dollars. And I'm like, what in the hell? We don't use that clinic. So I looked into it, and here she had been referred to that clinic by the school. Now, mind you, she was 12 years old.
Wow.
And they're sending my daughter to this clinic we've never used so she can get contraceptives at the age of 12.
And that's basically telling her it's okay to have sex at 12 years old.
Yeah, there's so many things that they said by doing that. She can have sex. You don't have to tell your parents. You can get the pill without them knowing, and you can have sex without them knowing. It's none of their business. They told the clinic, you can do this to this child without the parents' consent. And then they also told the clinic, but you still get to bill it out to the parent. So I got charged for something I never purchased. I never bought because they gave a service to one of my children who was underage, should not be able to enter into a contract. That shit has been settled for a long time. Back when they had the old record of the month club, I did it as a kid, man. You got to enter, man. Yeah, I mean, it costs you $5 and you get 5 LPs of your choice, thousands of records. You get 5 LPs for that $5. And they send you a free stereo. And every month they're sending you these new listings, and you can buy them for this. And well, you don't buy anymore. Fuck that. I'll go buy my records on the corner store. But I'm keeping the record player. But there's a contract that says you got to buy $100 worth of records in a year. Well, I ain't buying that yet. And they found out they couldn't bill the parents for it because the parents weren't aware their kid entered this club. And this club can't make the parents pay for something that you allowed a minor to enter a contract with you. But here the clinic's doing the same goddamn thing. I refused to pay. So then it went to collections. So I went to court. I lost. Because of our laws today. Yeah, they can do that. The court said, yeah, no, the statutes are there. They're allowed to do that. You have to pay the bill. I said, you're fucking insane. I told the judge, you're fucking insane. He goes, hey, luckily I had a judge that I knew, not real personally, but personally I knew him. We knew each other fairly well. He kind of chuckled and he says, I'll ask you only once to not call me insane in my own courtroom again. He says, but I understand whoever wrote that law must have been insane. He said, I do understand and agree with that, but I have to follow the law, which I understood. That he was in a pickle. He didn't have a choice unless he didn't want to be a judge anymore, of course. But what that told me flat out is I got to put the foot down on my kids. I pulled that girl out of school for 2 months. And guess what? She only left her room for meals. She left her room for breakfast in the morning, was sent to her, well, she could leave to use the restroom, but she had no contact with other people. And people said, you put your daughter in prison. I said, yep, kid prison. I said, and you show me anybody that's in a state or federal prison that's living as good as she is. She gets 3 homemade meals every day. She's got this big comfy room. I got her this beautiful princess bed. He said, don't tell me she's not uncomfortable or that she's uncomfortable. I said, she's got a television in her room. She has everything that she needs. I'm not going to let her have any wants for a few months. And I told her, I said, now do you know where the bread comes from in this household? I said, and you know where your rights come from? They come from me. You don't have rights as a minor. You have whatever rights me as a parent gives you. Not what somebody else gives you, only what I give you. I brought you into this world. I have the right to take you out. Now, that created a big, huge scandal around town that I told my kids, I brought you into the world. I have the right to take you out. It's not abortion when they're 16 and acting like an asshole. That's just killing your kid. And they said, you do not have the right to kill your own child. I said, I got the right to kill you too. They said, you do not. I said, do you want me to go out, get my gun and come in here and prove it to you? I said, I have the right to kill anybody I want. But guess what? I was raised that I can exercise any possible right in the world, but I have to suffer any circumstance that comes with it. So if I exercise the right to kill Grandpa's adventures, guess what? This old boy's spending the rest of his life in prison. I better be willing to put up with that penalty to exercise that fucking right. You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, you remind me of a funny story, Star. My older boy here, when he was 16 years old, I don't know if you remember the late night psychic Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
Well, he decided to call her, and I get a phone bill almost $200. And I called them up and I said, I'm not paying for this shit. And I said, because the kid's 16 years old. And she says, well, he said he was 18. And I said,
oh, you froze up. Okay, now say it, because you froze up.
I asked the person, I said, aren't you psychic?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you should have known he was a minor.
Right. Oh, I love it.
For this, and they erased it.
I love it because in my career, I handled all the finances for a fairly good-sized Native American tribe. And I had one of the accountants come running into my office one day and said, you got to look at this, boss. I don't know what to do with it. And she hands me this handful of phone bills. And I go, holy shit. She goes, yep, $986. I'll never forget that dollar amount ever in my life.
Fuck.
$986 in phone charges on this account. And so I looked the account up, got into the system. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's the account. Who's it attached to? Our marina, because we had a big marina, and it's attached to our marina. So I go into our records. Well, that phone number only is accessible by one person at the marina, and that's the marina manager's office. It's not accessible to anybody else. That's his assigned phone, period. Yours only.
Come on.
So I called what I did was I looked at the bills and I looked at, there's the number, same number, over and over and over. But the charges per call were like $40, $180, $60. What the fuck? So I called that number. And it's a psychic hotline. It's a freaking psychic hotline.
No.
And so I hung up on him. And the thing that really threw me was that they were charging $2.99 a minute, $3 a minute. Well, it's not hard. You take each one of those phone calls, and I did that before I called that manager into my office. I took every one of those phone calls, added the total cost, $3 an hour, and I multiplied. What I did was I divided that total number by 3. How many hours did this guy spend on the phone? Well, he spent 100 hours on the phone. So I call him in my office and I threw the bills at him and I said, "What's this shit about?" And he looks at the first bill and he goes, "Oh no." And I go, "Yeah, oh no." I said, "What are all those phone calls?" "Well, it's this one outfit that," I said, No. These are outgoing calls. What are these phone calls? He goes, "To a psychic hotline." He goes, "They're really good too." I go, "They are." He goes, "Yeah, they're really good." And I said, "What did you ever ask them what your your career looks like?" And he said, "Well, yeah, they told me that I'm going to do real well in the future with my career." And oh, there's Shay. I didn't see Shay, but I said, "Well, so you're going to have a long, prosperous career, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "This psychic didn't tell you you're going to lose your job and you ain't going to work anywhere in this community, not when the word gets out?" And he goes, "Say what?" I said, "You're not getting it, pal. You are fired. And out of what we owe you for this pay period, you ain't getting paid either, because I'm deducting 100 hours off of your hours earned. You're going to end up actually owing us money on the way out the fucking door." He goes, "You can't do that to me." I said, "Oh, yes, I can." And on your own telephone, your personal telephone, you call the psychic back and let them know that they were sorely mistaken, that you aren't going to have a long, prosperous career because you just got your ass fired for using that psychic. Tell them that they're not a very good one.
Oh, shit.
Son of a bitch.
Some of that.
Oh, they're good. They're good ones. They're good ones. I thought, I said, all right. And you use the company phone to rack up over $900, $986 in phone calls.
I hate to make a comparison, but for $900, I'd just get a number from Charlie Sheen and have a much better time.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I need to read.
Well, I thought, for crying out loud, if he's going to take $986 of our money for him to be entertained with the psychic, if he was really smart, he would have taken the $986 and either bought scratch-offs or lotto tickets with it. He had a much better chance of being prosperous. I won $1 million lotto, yay! But I got fired. All right. But that's all right. I got $1 million to live on. But no, his psychic was no good, and he didn't make any good choices at all. And I get such a kick out of how people can be so stupid sometimes.
What do you think of the beard, Sty?
I love it, man. Looking good. I miss mine so bad. Oh, I miss mine so bad. People don't realize us old guys, we get ourselves that beard we always dreamt of, and then when it's gone, now the staff at the cancer clinic, they were so sad when my beard finally got to the point I had to cut it off. And they said, "How does that feel?" I said, about the same as getting an arm cut off. And they said, what do you mean? I said, that beard was part of me for so many years that losing it was like losing a limb. I mean, that beard became part of me, part of my life. I mean, cut the nose off my face. What the fuck's the difference, you know? And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that, but and I loved it because I had 3 gals going through cancer treatment, lost their hair. So they're always wearing do-rags like me. It's funny because I got all these cancer patients wearing these do-rags that I wear. Where can I find those? I got to have it. Yeah, I like those. Yeah, a lot of these cancer patients are switching do-rags.
I have a question for you. Did it make the hair on your ears go away?
No, I still got hair in my ears. I got a few. Hair on my chest, hair on my back. I got hair everywhere where hair should be. As a guy,
I think that's kind of
cool. Off my face and head.
Exactly. You lose it on your face and head, but you still got it on your ears. My ear hairs, I can do a comb over, you know.
Do you remember when me and Ann and I think Cindy and Gemma might have even joined in too, but we did the beards and dressed as you?
When you all took your hair and you wrapped it around his beards, I
even did the glasses and the hat.
Yes, and this is so ironic. I mean, I love it because literally it would have been last Tuesday. I was feeling so sick after my chemo. Oh. And so I come in here and I sat in the studio and I thought, what the hell do I want to do? I'm sick of the internet. I'm sick of everything. I'm just sick of everything. I just feel sick. God damn it. Mm-hmm. Then I thought, go watch little parts of old live streams. Just go watch some of those. And I went back in my old live streams and I found that one when all you gals had your hair tied like beards and you're dressing up. And then there was the other one where you had Phil, Crazy Ann, what's her name? Why can't I remember her damn name? Her husband's in the military.
Cindy.
Cindy. Mm-hmm. So it was Phil, Cindy, and Ann, and there was one other person. They're all in the damn basement, right? And I'm starting my stream, and I'm looking in that basement going, them sons of bitches, I don't want to pull them up. No way in hell. All of them had those Sty masks.
I remember that.
They all were wearing Sty masks. And they sat there sweating in them damn things. And a couple of them would say, well, I'm going to have to step down for a moment. No, wait a minute. Wait. I purposely trying to keep them on as long as I can because I know they're just sweating and having a hard time breathing in those masks. I make them suffer. And then I found Ann's video of her mowing the damn lawn dressed up as Sty.
That was funny.
It was, wasn't it? It was just adorable. Loved it. There's old Sty out there trying to mow the lawn around the damn dog, and
runs into the freaking bumps into shit. Yeah, that was funny.
Zips past the porch and grabs a drink off of the porch. And it's not that short of a video. It's quite long. And I couldn't believe she did that. That
was funny.
But I remember when she did that, how everybody said, oh, it's Sty. Yeah. Ooh. I said, no, that was great. I said, that was I mean, she went to a lot of work to make that parody, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. And so, yeah, I do that once in a while now lately, there's no way in hell I can go back. I'm at 1,030 uploads now. There's no way I can go back and watch everything I've ever posted.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
There's just not enough time. So I randomly will plop in the studio at times and just pick out random streams. A couple of weeks ago, I started watching some of my challenge ones where I did super hots. And yeah, I was a damn fool. Yeah, Tim laughing. Good times. Yeah, they were excellent times. And that's it, is I cannot say anything more from the heart than get the best out of every moment, not out of every day or every minute, out of every moment in life. Because, and I have to say it this way, if you're misfortunate enough to know when your end is coming, that's misfortunate as far as I'm concerned. I have people all the time, Sty, be careful, you can't be doing that. You could fall and break your fucking neck. Sty, don't do that. You could have a heart attack. That'd be a fucking blessing, man. That'd be a blessing. But now I got off track. But no, you need to treasure every single moment of your life, because I found, even with myself, there's bad times in my life that were very difficult. Very difficult. And I think, oh man, you went through days of misery over this, or you went through weeks of misery over that. You went through a year of misery over that. If I could get any of that time back that I was miserable in life, if I could get any of that time back, but I have to be miserable during that time, I'd take it.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is people always say that they changed this and changed that, but if you really think about it, if you changed anything in your life, you wouldn't have what you have now.
Exactly. That's like they put me on
There's
that
no
damn
such thing as enough time.
No, there never is. There never is.
Yeah.
And it's like when they put me on this stupid lifeline thing here. I got to wear this thing around the house all the time. If I crash and burn, push this, help me, I can't get up.
Yeah, I remember.
I keep thinking of those old commercials. I've fallen and can't get
Life
up.
alert. Yeah.
Yeah, life alert. And yeah, mine's lifeline. but they're trying to tell me, we want to get you one. We want to set it up so it's got the fall down sensor. So if you do fall, it'll just automatically call us, and we'll just call you and say, are you all right? I said, no, I can't have that. And they said, but if you fall, I said, no, there's no but if I fall. I fall 2-3 times a goddamn day. I'll be on the phone half the damn day. I'm tripping and falling all the time. And I have for the last 40 years. So falling down ain't nothing new to me. So there's no way in hell I want that phone going off every time I trip and fall. I said, yesterday I fell twice. But because I'm a faller, because I fall all the time, over all those years, I've learned how to fall. It's not like I haven't been hurt in a fall.
You got the videos to prove it. You've got
Yeah,
plenty of fall videos.
yeah, this one right here.
Oh, fucking son of a bitch! Oh, Jesus H. Christ. Now that doesn't happen often, but when it does, it pisses you off. I mean,
that's one of my favorite ones.
And it was such a stupid fall down too. I could cut this tiny stick. It's only about a foot long, maybe, and it caught my shoelace.
Oh man!
And it pulled my left foot out from under me, and I knew I was going down. So I took those poles, and you can't really see it in the video, but I took those poles, and both of those hiking poles went right up under my armpits. And I went into almost a fetal position, and I just rolled onto my back. And there I am, laying on the ground. Son of a bitch. Yeah. And it's because it happens all the fucking time. So when I fall down, it doesn't surprise me a bit. I would almost think that I'm having a bad day if I don't trip and fall over something. It's like my palliative nurse, she said, your house is pretty cluttered for somebody in your condition. She said, are you going to be able to use your walker in the house? I said, oh, hell no. That walker I'm getting is all-terrain walker. That son of a bitch is big. I can't use it in the house. I could use it in a public place, like Walmart or someplace like that, but I couldn't use it in the house. And she goes, well, that's one of our worries, is you falling down in the house. I said, look around. You said it's so cluttered. Where am I going to fall? I'm going to fall on something. I won't hit the floor. I'm only going to fall about halfway to the floor and be pissed off because I knocked a bunch of boxes over or something, I said, I ain't going to
grab onto here yeah.
I ain't going to hurt myself. And I got the stairs mastered. It's 17 steps up our stairs. They're really steep and narrow. And that's the whole key. One side's got the handrail. And I mean, the wall is right there on my right side going up. I can't, I'm not Joe Biden. I don't fall up the stairs. I'm not worried about falling up the stairs at all. And falling down the stairs.
I did that one night after a night of drinking tequila. I fell up the stairs a couple of times.
Oh, it's not that I never have, but I don't think I have publicly, with a lot of audience to see it. But falling down the stairs, I got that pretty well mastered too. Man, if I'm going down the stairs, I'm facing downhill. If I go down the stairs, I got that handrail on the right. If I start to fall, I just sit down. I'd rather go boom, 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 boom on my ass to the bottom and then go, God damn, that's hard on the ass, than to go ass over teakettle all the way down. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and you find out you got a broken neck at the bottom. So I even got the stairs mastered where they don't scare me a bit. And
I hate stairs.
Yeah, I wish everything was ground level, but you got to live with what you got, right? And so
my bathroom's upstairs.
Oh, see, I'm fortunate. I have got a bathroom upstairs and one. Well, I call it a half bath downstairs, and the one upstairs, it's got the shower, everything. So my bedrooms, I walk out my bedroom door, right across the hall, right into the bathroom, shower, everything's there. And then when I'm downstairs, all I need is a half bath,
Oh.
toilet, sink, the basement.
I live in Maine, so if I got to pee, I just go right out in the backyard.
Yeah, that's got me jealous. Here where I live, all they have to do is be able to see the stream. They can't even see your body parts, right? But if they see the stream, they can cite you for public urination, and there's another charge that goes with it, and it's a $500 fine. On the third offense, then you got to go to court, and it's considered a criminal offense, and it's a felony, and then they put you on the sex register. Well, thank God for depends, I guess, I mean, because some old crony, when I was growing up, you'd be riding your bicycle down the street, and you'd be going past some neighbor's house, and there's grandpa out there watering the roses. And you just giggle and keep riding, You didn't call the cops and say, there's an old man pissing in his backyard. I mean, I would kill to bring back the 1960s. I mean, I loved growing up in the 1960s. It was a whole different world.
Oh, it was. 60s and 70s?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 60s and 70s, whole different world. People talk about all of the division in our country, with the racial thing and all that stuff.
Yeah, there was real racism back then when I was just turning a teenager. I remember black people had to go into the back of Woolworths to get things from the snack bar.
See, here we didn't have any of that. I live in Wisconsin, but I grew up in Minnesota. But we didn't have any of that. And I talk about that quite often. Growing up, 6, 7 years old, if you couldn't find me during the summer, you knew where I was. I was down on the lakefront with all the black people. You take a look down that lakefront and you'd see this old white kid right in the middle of the whole group. There'd be 150 black people fishing off the shoreline. And there I am right in the middle of them. And some bitch. I mean, they were so good to me. They'd make you a sandwich. They'd give you pop. They treat you like you're one of their kids, And they'd look out for you if somebody's giving you some crap. One of them folks would step right in. They leave that boy alone. Leave him alone, And it was a whole different world for me growing up. My dad, until I was 12, was our chief of police, and some of his best buddies were black. We lived 20 minutes outside of Minneapolis, and huge black population in Minneapolis, but it was a whole different atmosphere. It was a whole different atmosphere. You didn't hear people using the us and them thing much. You rarely heard any of that. And
the people that raised me were terrible racists. I remember I was 13 and it come across the news that Martin Luther got shot. And the first thing out of the man's mouth was, oh, look, somebody shot that N-word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not that we didn't have folks like that. We had them down in Minneapolis.
See, I grew up right next door in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah, depending on where you were in Wisconsin back in the 60s and 70s, it was pretty. There were some racial lines drawn.
I grew up in Janesville.
Oh, really? Yeah, right down on the border.
Yep. spent a lot of time in South Beloit with my black friends,
Oh shit.
and I could
We
go to places that no other white people could go because one of my friends named Norris said it was okay for me to go there.
see, and that was it too. Is once the black community, someone in that community says he's cool, he's good, he's cool. They treated you like you were one of their own, you know. And even when I was a late teens, early adulthood, I got called the N-word all the time by my black buddies. You know? They were calling me that all the time. But if we were in a closed situation, we're not out in the public, I could call them that too, if they were acting like that, because they tagged that with certain actions at the time. They didn't look at it as that's a black and white word. They looked at it as, yeah, you're stupid, you know, you dumb blankety blank, you know. But the thing is we didn't judge each other because of our color, you know. I remember the first time I heard an actual black joke, and it had to do with the fact that the only place you find whites and minority is on a basketball team. You know, you know, in the day that was funny. You know.
Yeah. Well, now you can't say nothing.
No, you can't say a word. You know, and that's it. Is they've even taken comedy and satire and made it bad. I mean, why do you have to make everything bad all the time? It doesn't matter, you know. And satire is satire, and
funny is funny.
Yeah.
And you know, just because you get butthurt about everything, you know, doesn't mean that it's not funny.
Right. Yeah, Shay, you're absolutely right. Now everybody's so sensitive.
Everybody gets butthurt over everything.
I was talking to our sheriff's office. Ouch. Excuse me. Bum muscles on my right side. But talking to the dispatcher for our sheriff's office, one of the dispatchers, and she's a gal. It's a gal, and she said that on the average, 4 out of 10 of their 911 calls are what she calls "my feelings are hurt" calls. She said that 4 out of 10 of their emergency calls are so-and-so hurt my feelings. They're too loud, or he walks his dog up and down my street and that dog's got a red, white, and blue harness on him, and I think he's trying to make some kind of political point at me or something. And she told me about some of the weird calls she would get. And our sheriff, God bless him, he told dispatch, when you get those calls, you have to listen close enough to determine, does this require the police? If not, you have all the right in the world to tell them that's something you need to deal with, not the police. You need to deal with it. And if you have to, file a civil suit against your neighbor or something, but don't involve us, because we have bigger, worse things to deal with than you don't like the sound of that guy's car.
They have actual emergencies to tend to.
Yes.
To listen out for. And come on now. Don't waste their time keeping their line up with some Karen bullshit.
Yeah.
No. That's ridiculous.
when I was growing up with my dad as chief of police, man, so many times I heard he'd preach at any new officer he'd bring on the department. And the biggest part of that speech is he'd ask them, all right, if I hire you and I pin a badge to your chest, what does that make you? And if they said, well, it makes me a police officer, he said, but what is a police officer? What is your main duty to this community? Mm-hmm. Anybody that said, well, I'm here to enforce law, they never got hired. The ones that said, I'm here as a peace officer to keep the peace in the community, guess what? They got hired. Because that's what your job is to be seen by the community and to keep the peace. If somebody's going through town and it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit and they're doing 40, but you can't see a car for a mile one way or the other, he said, honk your horn at them. Don't turn the lights on. Don't run the siren. Honk your horn at them. They see the squad car. Guess what? They're doing 25. He says, and there's no paperwork involved. He said, you have a domestic situation. You go and find out, is anybody actually being injured? If there's somebody being injured, now you have to take part in it. Are they screaming and hollering where the neighbors can't fucking sleep because of it? They're having this big ass fight. Get involved in it. If they're actually physically hurting each other, you got to break that shit up. Because that's not peaceful. That's not being peaceful in town. If you've got, and we had three, I believe it was three. Yeah, it was 3 town drunks at the same time. and I mean, they were our regular carved in stone town drunks. You know, do damn well. Anytime you saw any one of those 3, it could be 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night. They're drunk. I mean, they drank 24/7, these guys. But they never hurt a person, ever. They were town characters, or what they were. And if he got a call that old Irv is driving his tractor, and I know he's drunk, he's going to hit somebody with that tractor. My old man would say, well, where's he at? Well, he's on such a street. He goes, is he heading east or west? Well, he's heading east. Good, because that means he's going home. He didn't go and check on Irv, didn't go pull him over and give him a DUI on a tractor. He let Irv go home, and Irv would lay in his hammock in the front yard, fall asleep for the rest of the day. Irv was only good from about 6 in the morning till noon. After that, you didn't have to worry about Irv because he wouldn't even drive. I mean, he knew, I can't drive. No, there's no sense in me driving. But
well, DUIs and drug arrests and all that is calculated into funds that they're going to make.
Well, that's it. Is my dad preached that as a cop, and he told his officers flat out. He said, I don't want you pulling over someone for speeding unless they're putting other people at risk. And I want to know who these other people were that were put at risk. Don't just tell me, well, somebody coulda, woulda, or shoulda. He says, no, I want to know they did something that put someone at risk. If they didn't, I don't want to see a citation. And they said, but that's revenue. And he said, yeah, for the county. Our community doesn't get that revenue. The county does. Well, here in Wisconsin, it's the other way around. Well, it's not totally the other way around. 60% goes to that community, 40% goes to the county. So, of course, they're out there pulling you over with all of these statutes that require you to pay a fine because it goes in their budget. So the more they can stop you, the more revenue they get, the more money they get. And we had one in a neighboring community that the chief of police there was an ex-state highway patrolman. Now, all state highway patrol stops, that goes into the state's general fund. Doesn't go into the state highway patrol, it goes right to the state's general fund. So that's play money for the state legislators to play with. Well, this guy being with State Highway Patrol tells all of his officers in this little community, I want traffic stops. I want traffic stops. He said, I won't put a quota on you, but I do expect a certain level of traffic spots. Well, in other words, you're admitting you actually do have a quota.
Yeah, building a quota.
You're just not telling the number. You know the number, but you're not telling us. And that was one of those times I was very appreciative. Out of he had 12 officers. 8 of those 12 officers would make traffic stops, and they give the person a warning. And they did that for several months. The chief went ballistic. Every one of those should have been citations. No, they deserved a warning. I ran their record. They don't have a bunch of traffic stops and the like, so I gave them a warning. And now if I stop them again, I'll give them a citation. But first time it's just a hello, how are you? How's it going? Hey, you were going 25 over the speed limit. I realize there's not crap for traffic, but you got to slow it down, man. Just slow it down. Yeah, okay, officer, give them a warning, and off you go. And that's the way I grew up. My dad would pull somebody over, and he'd end up spending a half hour bullshitting, and then tell the guy, well, you have a good day, and off they go. And he didn't even write them a damn warning. Just, yeah, off you go. But it was his presence and the way he treated people. Everybody in my town when I grew up, if they saw Porky coming through town with his squad, everybody's waving at him like he's in a goddamn parade. Everybody said hello to him if they walked past him on the street. Everybody. You go into a diner, and it was funny because he's telling people all the time, no, you do not buy me lunch. No, you're not buying my coffee and pie. No, I don't accept it. That man for 16 years would have never have had to have paid for a meal in any of our local restaurants. Everybody wanted to buy his meal for him. He wouldn't accept a dime from anybody. But yet he'd take out of our family income, and he'd go out and buy all these damn toys and crap. That was the first Operation Rudolph in my experience back in the early 1960s. That squad car packed so full of Christmas presents and his clipboard with everybody's name in town that he knew wasn't doing well. They're working hard, but they're just having a hard time making ends meet. And he's showing up, and he's got a gift for every kid in the house. And at our house, I say, oh, I want this for Christmas. And he goes, that's too damn much money. You get something. You'll get something good for Christmas, but not that. Well, if you didn't spend all that shit on all the other kids, spend that money on all them other kids did.
Yeah.
But they're kids, and they deserve a Christmas just like you get.
You don't understand those things, though, until you're an adult.
That's it. But the seed has to be planted in our children. And that's our jobs to do that with our children growing up. Plant that seed that, hey, sometimes when you can help somebody out. It don't hurt you. If it ain't going to hurt you, help them out. Help them out. One thing that I feel really bad for, you got people, their heart is way too big for their chests, because there's one gal, she was giving and giving. She was all over YouTube, giving to everybody, super chatting constantly, super stickers constantly. And me and another fella got pretty close to her, found out what her monthly income was. She was spending half of her monthly income on YouTube, helping all these channels out, of her total monthly income. And she was getting to the point where she was missing certain bills, not able to pay certain bills and things. And boy, we jumped down her throat and said, stop giving. She goes, I can't help it. These people need help. They need this or need that. Others can give. You can't. You don't give if it's going to hurt you. If it's not going to hurt you, go ahead and give what won't hurt you. But if it's going to hurt you, don't do it. Don't do it.
So, are you in Wisconsin, Sty?
Yep, I'm up in Ashland, way up on Lake Superior.
Wow.
Yep.
So I take it you knew where Janesville was. You must have traveled south.
Oh, I've been all over this state. Yeah.
So do you ever go to a place called Show Pier?
Say again.
Show Pier?
Show Pier. Goddamn, it's so familiar.
Had a little waterfall?
I think so. Boy, oh boy. I'm trying to build.
It was a good swimming hole.
That's one thing I like about Wisconsin is there's a lot of good water holes around this state. You know, the old-fashioned sneak off and go swimming in the swimming hole kind of places. And a lot of good off the beaten path waterfalls. And some towns with little parks. I don't remember which town it was anymore. It's south of me, about an hour away. They got a little city park. And I just needed a break, get out of the truck and walk, you know. And I thought, oh, there's a little city park there. I'll pull in there. Pulled in. And it's the driveway in there was nice level coming in. Then all of a sudden it drops down and I'm driving around. And then there's this big parking area and a pavilion. And beautiful park. Then I see a sign that says campground. And I thought, campground is right in the middle of frickin' town. I drove up there. Beautiful campsites, and they're all staggered. So you got space between everyone, lots of space. And beautiful campground right on a river. And they got this awesome waterfall. There was nobody else there. And it was in the middle of the summer on a Saturday, and there was nobody else at the city park. And I was reading the sign at the campground. You can camp in their campground for up to 14 days consecutively for $10 a day. And they had showers, modern bathrooms.
Whoa.
And I thought, why isn't there anybody here enjoying this? This is beautiful. It's awesome. And I asked this gal at a local cafe, I said, shit, I got to go ask questions. So I went, found a little mom and pop cafe, and it was still mid-morning, so I thought I'll have a light breakfast. I walked in there, ordered up a light breakfast, and I asked the waitress, I said, there's a little park in town about 6 blocks from here. She goes, oh, yeah, the pavilion and the campground. I go, yeah. Does anybody use that park? She goes, the locals once in a while. I go, what do you mean? She said, well, it's so secluded. I said, it's in town. It's in town. There's residential homes all around that park, and there's nobody there. And she said, it just doesn't get a lot of a lot of use. And I was surprised. I was really surprised. A little jewel in the state of Wisconsin. That's you go there and you go, okay. If I go down to the police station, I saw there's a police station down in town here. Can I go meet Andy and Barney there? Am I in? I don't remember the exact town. I got it written down in my waterfall log. I added it. I'd have to search for it there, Dennis. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's a couple of remote waterfalls I go to. I've got quite a few videos of those waterfalls up. In fact, I'm hoping to do one of those in the next week or so here. Now that I got my off-trail walker. I got a couple that I can get into. Yeah.
Sty, two things that I really miss about Wisconsin. One is the 9 different varieties of catfish, and the other is a ear of sweet corn that's over a foot long and 4 or 5 inches round that you can eat right off in the stalk.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. There's sweet. They grow some sweet corn here, a little south of us, but they grow sweet corn. You can walk right out in the field, pop a cob right off of the stalk, peel her back, and eat it raw.
Sweet.
Just so sweet. Just explodes in your mouth. The sugars that are in it. It's just.
For quite a while, I worked at the Libby's plant.
Oh, yeah.
So we got them huge ears of the hybrid corn.
Yeah. I love sweet corn.
The catfish here, you have what do they have? What we call bullheads.
Yeah.
And then the big river cat. In Wisconsin, you had channel cat, mud cat,
blue cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the blues, the channels. Yeah, a lot of catfish up here.
And that, you know what? As long as you cook it right, and I emphasize cook it right, that's the best fish in the world.
Oh shit, yeah. Bullheads when growing up. People do things their own way, but the way I grew up, my grandpa taught me a lot of tricks when it came to hunting and camping and the outdoors in general. But my dad taught me the fishing tricks, and we'd go out fishing and we'd be catching big ass crappies and big ass sunfish, just slabs, and we pretty well limit out on them. And the old man would say, "We're going back in the sloughs back there," and we go, "Oh boy, yeah, fish cleaning's going to be a bitch today when we get in, because if he's going back in them sloughs, we're catching bullheads." And you get the whites and the yellow bellies, the big yellow bellies there. Shit, they're as big as a catfish. They got the yellow belly on them. They're just a bullhead. But my old man had these boards with a big spike that went through the board at about a 45-degree angle. And you grab them bullheads out of the basket by the tail, whack them on that board, then they'll go right through the bullhead's head and hold them there. And then you just cut them around right where his spines are, cut them around, grab them with the pliers and zip, and you pitch them on the table for the guy that's doing the fillet. And it's just slicker than shit process. Well, we moved up here to northern Wisconsin on Lake Superior. And in Lake Superior, we have burbots. Well, up here, nobody knows what a burbot is. But if you say lawyer, they know what a lawyer is. And a lawyer looks like a catfish, except it's got It's one of those that's got fins. Back fin runs all the way down to his tail and around. And he's got the whiskers like a catfish, but he's squirrely like an eel almost. Oh my God, they call that poor man's lobster up here. You can get your hands on some lawyers. Everybody complains because they're a bitch to clean. You got to peel the hide off of them. Then you got to cut the back meat out of them. The meat from the end of the rib cage back on the tail, you have to fillet that out. And there's a trick to it, but once you learn the trick, they come to my house and I'm doing a bunch of lawyers and I've got one hanging on the board and they're going, what the hell are you doing? I said, watch. And I make that one cut, grab it with the pliers, stick hides right off of them, cut the meat off of them, throw the scrap in the pail. And they're like, that only took you about 2 minutes beginning to end per fish. I said, oh, I can go faster than that. I'm just being lazy today. They said, that's impossible. Lawyers are a pain in the ass. Oh, no. You got to learn how, and they go real fast. The thing is what lawyers, you take those slabs of meat and then you slice it. They're about the slabs are about the size of a shrimp that's curled up about that big. And you throw them in boiling salt water and you boil them for about 2, maybe 3 minutes, and you scoop them out of that water, strain them, rinse them with, we usually had a second pot of boiling water going, and you just rinse them with the boiling water, get some majority of the salt off of them. But you do want some salt on them. Pour them out on a plate with a big old compote full of melted butter. Tastes just like frickin' lobster. And it's considered a trash fish up here. Everybody says, we got to get rid of the lawyers. I totally agree. But let's keep the burbots, Get rid of the lawyers, but let's keep the burbots.
You cleaned your catfish the same way I did mine, Sty. But I watched the guy on YouTube. He'd take a cat, it's a good sized catfish, and he'd go right behind the gill and cut a fillet, right?
Right.
And he'd cut right down to where he almost took it off the tail, but then he'd flip it over. Well, believe it or not, you can take a fillet knife, go between the skin and the meat and clean that catfish without having to pull it at all.
Yeah. Because the hide's tough enough. I mean,
that's tough.
You can't screw it up because your knife's not
cowhide.
Yeah. I mean, I keep my fillet knives. They'll take a finger off. But boy, oh boy, they won't put a nick in a damn catfish hide. Yeah.
I remember many hours doing just what you did, put that catfish's head through that nail and cut around it, and then spend hours trying to pull that skin off, and you just get a good grip and it'd slip and you pinch your finger.
We had what my grandpa called bullhead pliers, and he used to hand forge his own tools. I mean, he made adjustable wrenches, all kinds of shit at his own forge. And he took these pliers and he ground them out. So they had it was like a big, wide, flat tooth. It's like a couple of buck teeth. And you get a hold of, and they overlapped. So when you get a hold of that hide, it went up the bottom tooth, and the top tooth came down over the hide. And you're going to rip the hide before you'll ever lose grip on it. And my grandpa would get madder than hell if we said, well, we could only find one pair of those. Well, one of you is going to suffer with a regular plier then. Oh, shit. And then fight like hell over grandpa's bullhead pliers, made just for the bullhead.
Are you familiar with Janesville?
A little bit. Okay, now just to bring this into context, you're aware of it's dead in the water now. It ain't happening. But when the tribes were going to put in the big casino in Beloit, I was the project coordinator for that. I got them $500 million to put that casino in, and the fucking governor wouldn't allow us.
Wow.
Pissed me right off. Oh, I shouldn't have been pissed off, I guess, because I got paid. I mean, I got paid dearly for being the project coordinator of a $500 million project. But what pissed me off is that would have turned into about $1 million a year the last half of my career if they would have gotten that son of a bitch bill. But so I was in Beloit all the time. And we wander down to Janesville and hang out. Yeah.
You know, there's a park there called Goose Island, and every 4th of July they'd have a big celebration where they'd bring in 4 trailers the size of snowmobile trailers, and they had 4 beer taps on either side.
Oh.
And the beer, if you were 21, the beer was free.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you went there and got hammered. And then they'd do the fireworks, and if you were too drunk, the police would give you a ride home.
Home, yeah. My old man, we had this keyboard in our house, mounted on the wall, had all these key hooks. And in the morning, on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, us kids, you run over and look at the keyboard and see how many sets of keys are hanging on that board. And that's how many drunks you knew were somewhere in the house. They're laying somewhere. He'd bring them fuckers home. He'd make them drive their car to a safe spot, park it, get them in the squad. He'd bring them to the house. My mom would set them up in the corner in the living room or on the couch, find somewhere for them. And there were times we'd have 5 drunks laying around our house on the floor. They'd get up in the morning, and he'd shake them all up, get them some coffee. Then he'd grab all those keys off the board, give them to each one of the guys, and then have them tell them where did I stop you last night? And the old man take them right to their car, and off they go. He didn't write DUIs. He got them the hell off the road. I'm not placing you under arrest, but I'm not going to let you drive a car. You're getting the hell off the road. Mm-hmm. Again, I have to say it over and over. What in the hell happened? What happened to our world? I mean,
Samantha, it was nice meeting you.
You too. I got to get going. My thing's glitching, and I got to let it cool down. So, but yeah, message me later, Sty. Whenever you like.
I see your message, girl. You know, the sweet thing about it, girl, is I know where to find you.
Yep.
And you know, if you're not hearing from me, I'm getting by.
by.
And I hate to say that because people can read between the lines. Yes, I do contact Sam when I'm down and out.
All right, buddy. Yeah. Well, you have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you guys later.
Bad. Love you, girl. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
She's a nice lady.
On the 4th of July, can any of the fireworks be seen from Birch Grove Campground, or is it too far out? It's too far out. I'm sorry to say, I've never been able to see fireworks from Birch Grove Campground. Problem with Birch Grove, though, is the campers shooting off crap. I don't know if they've put their foot down on that shit, but I know it got to the point where they were going to, because there were injuries involved. Because they just get wild with the fireworks. They were getting wild in the campground.
Be right back.
You betcha. But Dennis, they they have a Forest Service officer. He's He's an enforcement officer, what we called Leo. Yeah, Leo. He's a Leo. K9 unit that I know last year they assigned him to Birch Grove. If they put him back up at Birch Grove, it won't get out of hand. When I was hosting East Twin campgrounds, it is literally illegal to be shooting off any fireworks in a campground. And we had a bad 4th of July that year as far as fire risk. Thank God they didn't do a shutdown on campfires. But with the risk we had, especially in the undergrowth, and East Twin was one of those where the way the campsites were set up, we had a few campsites. If they started a fire, we would have gotten all the campers out, but they would have lost their campsites. They would have lost their gear, everything. So no way, you're not shooting anything off. Well, I had this one couple with 2 kids, and the kids were running around with sparklers. And I had a couple of people from the campground say, "You got to do something about that. Them kids using sparklers in their campsite." And I said, "Well, I said, I'm going to allow sparklers as long as they stay at the fire pit with them. They can't be running around their campsite." "Oh, really?" Well, the word spread quick. The guy's going to let us use sparklers. So out came all the sparklers. Everybody was burning sparklers that night. And they understood. Yeah, if I hear something go bang or go off in the woods, we'll have a Leo show up and you'll be shut down so fast. As far as a spot in town, see, I don't believe Washburn does its own fireworks. I don't believe they do. And there's a lot of spots along the shoreline there in Washburn that you can get to. There's a pier. There's a lot of places you can get to. And you can watch the Ashland fireworks sail. They're only, 2 miles, 3 miles at the most across the bay. And you watch the Ashland fireworks right from the lakefront in Washburn. Almost anywhere in Washburn, you can almost stand on the street, look between 2 buildings, see Ashland over there and see the fireworks. Yeah. For me here, I'd have to drive down to the lakefront, and in Ashland, it gets crowded. It gets crowded. The whole lakefront gets just packed full of people. I could drive down to the end of my street. There's a bank 3 blocks away from me, right by the water. I could probably go down, park at the bank. Look at that pooch. Looking so healthy and so good.
This is my boy.
Yeah.
This is Jackson.
Jackson.
And then we got Luna over there.
Yeah, there's Luna. Yeah. Luna's got it made. Yeah.
She's 8 years old now.
Is she that old now? Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh. Because I've been watching you for about 6 years now.
That's how long I've had her.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Have you seen that trike that I got?
No.
Yeah, I got a I bought an electric trike.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it makes a big difference on how I get around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have a car.
See, I thought about that too, is because we've got this trail system that runs all the way through town from the east to the west, covers the whole town. And they blacktop the whole thing. And
It'd be perfect for a trike.
they said no motorized vehicles, but if it has pedals on it.
Yep, that's mine. You can pedal it or electric.
They said as long as it has pedals on it, they said it can be electric or gas, but it has to have pedals where you can pedal it. You're allowed to use the trails with it, even under electric power. So I thought about that, and that damn trail goes right through town, and then it's got ATV trails that cross it that take you right downtown. About every 3 blocks, there's access to get right downtown with your electric vehicles.
Yeah,
and
mine,
I thought,
mine wasn't designed at all for off-road.
no, I think if I had a trike, it wouldn't matter to me one way or the other, because 99% of the time with the trike, it would be on the paved trail here in town. So it's like driving down a road, But the off-road ones look awesome, except that it's transporting them. That's a pain in the ass. I just can't lift the weight. If it's over 20 pounds, I ain't messing with it.
Well, one thing that really caught my eye was, well, first of all, it's $1,000 cheaper than all the other ones that's out there.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. They threw in a front basket and a rear basket, and total was $1,500.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, it's called the Electric XP, and it's got things that the $2,400 ones don't have, like hydraulic brakes,
Oh.
a rear differential.
So it's got a differential in it, not a posi track. Yeah.
What people don't understand is, like, if you're making a sharp right or left turn, both of those tires without a differential are turning at the same speed.
Yep.
The one with the rear differential, the inside one, is actually going to turn slower than the outside one.
Outside one. Yep. It makes it so much easier and smoother around the corners. Let's turn the clock way back. But for about 6 months, I rode an old 1945 Harley Davidson 45-inch cubic inch trike, World War II trike. It was built for the military. Had a top end on it of about 50 miles an hour. And that had the foot clutch with the hand shifter on the side of the tank. So you didn't foot shift it, didn't have the hand clutch. That thing was kind of goofy to ride around, but that had a posi track rear end in it. And for World War II, yeah, it made sense because it was all off-road. They needed the extra traction because of the terrain they used them in. But on the road, they were horseshit, man. You come to a curve, and it's a 35-mile-an-hour curve, and you hit it doing 35, guess what? You learn in a hurry how to counter steer that trike and lean on that outside. Well, if you're taking a left curve, you lean on the outside wheel to let that inside wheel slip on the blacktop as you're making the corner. You want all the traction on one side and little traction on the inside, because that some bits want to go straight ahead. I mean, it did not want to turn. And I saw that with the electric bikes and people complaining about Positrack in them. Made sense.
It takes some getting used to because it doesn't handle like a regular bike. And
Right.
Mine isn't designed for off-road.
Right.
But it'll do 14 miles an hour, which, trust me, is plenty fast.
Yeah.
And it's foldable.
Yeah, where you can break it down and fold it up.
Yep, it folds in the middle, and the handlebars come down, and the seat can come off. You can put it right in the back of a small car.
That's neat. That's neat. There's a gal lived down the road from me down here. She got herself a new electric bike. This is her third one she's gotten. She keeps upgrading.
I don't know if you can.
Oh, let's make it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's sweet. Yep.
And it comes fully assembled.
Oh, it does.
Yep.
I wish my walker would have come fully assembled. I shouldn't bitch because it only had, I think, 12 bolts and nuts that I had to put it together with.
And one really good thing is I got permission from management at Walmart to be able to take it in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Neat. Yeah, Dennis Nelson. Mobility scooters are allowed on our trails, but they stipulate in the ordinance if you have a handicap parking access placard, then you can use it on that trail. Otherwise, they won't allow it. And I asked a couple of our council members on the city council what the hell the deal was with that. And they said, well, what they had were these young kids would grab grandma's mobility vehicle or little mobility scooter and they'd take off down the trails with it. And it's supposed to be hiking trails only. And these young kids, they're not handicapped. They're just out there using it like a go-kart, and they think it's fun. Well, they spoiled it for everybody. You got to have your handicap placard but then I found out too, that's a local ordinance, is you can't park any kind of mobility vehicle like that, like your trike, in a handicap spot without that placard hanging from it. You have to show that you have a handicap permit to be in that handicap parking spot, even though you've got something to get you around, because really, it's not that hard to qualify for a handicap permit, for Christ's sake. I never knew how easy it was.
If I weren't able to take it into Walmart, I wouldn't take it up there because someone would steal it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that sitting out. You'd have to put a half a dozen block cables on it around a goddamn telephone pole to make sure nobody ran off with it.
Unfortunately, I live in a small town of 9,000 people and only 4,000 of them have jobs.
Yeah, sounds like Ashland. Because we got 8,900 something.
And to put it in a different perspective, on a weekly basis, we have between 5 and 10 overdoses.
Yeah. I know our emergency here in town, emergency unit. Most of the ODs are between Thursday and Sunday. And they said, oddly enough, Sunday is their hottest day. They get most of their ODs on Sundays, which are usually early in the morning.
You can't get free contraceptive devices anymore, but you can go anywhere and get free Narcan.
Yeah, yeah, and the whole world's been turned upside down or turned inside out because it's absolutely the reverse of what I was talking to a couple of young cops here in town, and I really like these guys because they ask a lot of questions about how was it, how did it used to be, how was it, and I was surprised at the looks on their faces at times, and they go, "Oh my God, our jobs would be so much easier, so cut and clear." I said, "Right, they would be. And the judges would be doing something about these cases when you bring them before the judge. Your district attorneys and your judges would do their job. The PD can't do their job if they got nobody backing them up."
True. And unfortunately, they are a hated group at the moment.
Yeah. And there's both good and bad cops out there.
Yeah. Oh, there's good, bad in every group of.
Yeah. And if you look at the bad cops, a lot of times what they did that made them get that title, they just did what they were trained to do in the academy. And that's to intimidate people, to lie to people, to do things that they never had to do before. And so when I see a bad cop, I go, God, I'd like to meet his instructors at the academy too, because I bet you they're assholes just like he is, because they've learned from the best, and that's not Dennis. The rules on gathering firewood in the National Forest. Anything on the ground, anything dead on the ground, dead standing, it has to be dead. The bark has to be loose on it. It has to be dead. You can saw that down and buck that up in the firewood. But anything laying on the ground, you can gather all you want, buck it up into firewood and haul it into your campsite. And Birch Grove, after the big storms back quite a few years ago now, after that big storm went through, there's clear cuts all over around Birch Grove. You can drive to any of those clear cuts, and I'd say within an hour's time, you got a week's worth of campfire wood. There's so damn much wood up there, and it's all wood that was left over after they hauled anything that was salvageable out of those areas that all got blown down. So firewood, never had an issue with firewood at Birch Grove. In fact, I've made a few trips to Birch Grove where I didn't even have firewood with me at all. I try to always take 2 days worth of firewood with me in the truck. So I got a couple of days before I have to go gather. But I've gone out there without any wood, get my camp set up, head out, gather wood, get enough wood to last me 4, 5, 6 days, less than an hour. So, yeah. You can use a chainsaw. You can use a chainsaw, but not in the campground itself. You can use the chainsaw out where you find it. Don't use the chainsaw in the campground. It's the noise level of the chainsaw in the campground that's prohibited. The only chainsaws they allow to be run in the campground are those run by the Forest Service when they're taking out hazard trees and the like. Boy, that's a. I got to give the Forest Service credit. Boy, the trainings we were offered, even as volunteers, the trainings we were offered were pretty awesome. The chainsaw training in order to be certified to use a chainsaw on Forest Service property, if you're doing it for the Forest Service, not as a private person, but you're doing it actually for the Forest Service. We had to go to 2 all day long chainsaw trainings, and they got you cutting trees that are pretty hairy. I mean, they're pretty questionable. It's I told them, I said, oh yeah, teach everybody by putting them at risk. Boy, some of these are pretty risky. And they laughed. They said, yeah. They said, we want to make sure that you can handle any situation in your campground. I said, that's what I'm here for. And yeah, they give you good chainsaw training. They're getting beat up. Their budget is too low, and they're not making as much off the campgrounds this year as they have in prior years. Right now, an example is one of the campgrounds down by the one I hosted. Only half of the campground is registered. Half of the reservable sites are registered for the 4th of July weekend. Year before last, they were booked solid by the 1st of June. You couldn't find a campsite anywhere. And now they got available campsites, and here we are just a week away from 4th of July. It's crazy. It's nuts. They're just not getting the revenue. And they managed to pick up a couple of new campground hosts this year. I got to get down this week. I'm taking a ride down there and meet the host of the campground I had. I heard that he's having a few issues and kind of like scheduling problems. How do you get everything done in a day? I had 3 campgrounds that I was host at, and I did all the chores of all 3 campgrounds. Plus, I had 2 public access points with restrooms that I had to do those too. And it was 2 hours a day. That's all it took, 2 hours a day. So you get to spend the other 22 hours just being like the rest of the campers and do your own thing. And I found that there's a lot of stuff you could do because you get bored just camping, period, for months, So I started flagging trails, and then they get a crew in there and they cut a new trail in, I had some campsites that it was a bitch to get to the bathroom. You had to walk down a road and around the corner and up to the bathroom, probably about 100 yards, 150 yards. Easily put a trail in, right through the thick woods, put a trail in, cut that whole trip in less than, now you only had about 40 yards, 35, 40 yards to the bathroom. Boy, were those campers on that loop. They were doing backflips. They're just thrilled. Man, we can get to the crapper without shitting our pants. Yeah. When did they decide to do that? Well, they didn't. I did as the host. I said, we're going to put some bathrooms accessible to this place. Yeah. And you get to go fishing and getting to know the locals, know your lake that you're on. And heck, local people lived across the lake. It's the only private property that was on that lake. There was 5 houses. That's it. Otherwise, the whole lake owned by the Forest Service. And folks would walk through the campground every day. They'd walk their dog. One day, someone's tapping on my camper door. I open it up. This fella introduces himself. I recognize him. I saw him almost every day walking through the campground. Introduces himself and says, my wife and I live in such and such a house right there across the lake. And I go, oh, really? I said, are you the one that is a saxophone player? And he goes, no, that's my son. He's up for a month visiting. I said, well, he didn't play last night. Why not? And he goes, well, he went out with a couple of buddies. I told him, I said, tell him to cut that shit out. He's got to play that saxophone at 6 o'clock every night. He's got all my campers used to hearing that saxophone played out over the lake every evening at 6 o'clock. And he laughed and he said, I'm surprised. My wife and I are surprised because we haven't gotten a single complaint this year. We always got complaints whenever he'd play that saxophone down on the dock. I said, I talked to all of our campers and I said, look over here next time he plays, and you're going to see all kinds of camp chairs lined up along the shoreline. We're sitting there watching him play and listening to him. And he looked at his wife and he said, this is slick. And he says to me, he says, I hope you're going to host for now on. At that time, I didn't know I had cancer. I said, I hope to. I hope to be the host for years to come. And his wife gave me this huge loaf of banana bread fresh out of the oven.
Oh, man.
And she said, that's just to thank you that you don't complain, that you don't tell us we can't walk our dog in the campground and this and that. And I said, whoever told you that? Well, a couple of the rangers. I said, oh, the hell with them. I'm the host. You walk your dog anytime you want over here. Your dog doesn't bother anybody. And that banana bread lasted about 2 days.
Oh, that sounds good, man. That warmed up with some butter. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Smothered in butter. Oh, it was to die for. And then about a week later, I came home and on the picnic table's a big plastic platter covered with tinfoil, and I took the tinfoil off, and it's huge. There had to have been 3 dozen big homemade chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, man.
They were the nice chewy ones, soft, and they were so damn good. I invited a couple of campers to come and hang out around the campfire and give them chocolate chip cookies. They said, that's the last thing you expect at a campground is the host giving you chocolate chip cookies. I said, I can't eat them all. I said, there's so damn many. But yeah, that that kind of camp life was great. It was great. So I did have a couple of campers, only a couple in the whole season, that tried to tell me what the Forest Service rules were. I told them, I said, you're picking a fight you can't win, pal. To the one guy, I told him, when it comes to the campgrounds themselves, I got all the rules down pat. Don't even try to talk your way out of some of the rules because literally they're all burned to memory. You're not going there with me. And he tried to push my authority to have him shut things down because he was being too loud after sunset. And he kept pushing it. Finally, I said, this is my last warning. I said, the next time I show up with law enforcement. He goes, oh, sure you do. So, okay. I said, just now I don't have to hear you being disruptive. That's enough. I want you out of the campground. Oh, I ain't leaving, he said. I said, not for me, but you will for our LEO. And so I just called law enforcement, got on the radio, called him. He showed up about a half hour later, and when they saw him, 6'6", and the nastiest, I mean, I like the looks of a German Shepherd, but that dog, he makes regular German Shepherds look like a bunch of wimps. That thing got out of his vehicle. I said, that thing looks like it was bred and raised in hell. That's a nasty looking dog. He says it's just his expression. I said, yeah, his expression is I want to eat you. I said, he's nasty looking. And he says, yeah, everybody tells me that he looks like me. Okay, yeah, okay. True, you big bastard. And he carried 4 handguns on him. And he had 2 AR-15s mounted on the dash. And behind his head on the dog rack, he had a short barrel 12 gauge. I said, you're just a walking platoon, for Christ's sakes. He goes,
Justin.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Justin. He said, yeah. He said, but I don't have much trouble with people, so fortunately I don't need all this gear. He said, but you just never know with the world the way it is. He said, something goes to shit. He says, I want to be prepared. I said, well, that's good to know. That's good to know. But
there's a woman that made a statement in one of the Predator movies. The woman asked her, why do you carry a gun? She says, I look at a gun like I do a rubber. I'd rather have one and not need it than need it and not have it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's too, is the officers here in town, they know.
No, me, I just have one. I got a Smith & Wesson 2.0 17 round clip, and I have 2 clips.
Uh-huh.
After 34 rounds, if I haven't taken care of you, then I'm yours,
Yeah. I've got a 9mm that I carry, and I got three clips, 3 spares. So actually 4, 1 in the gun and the 3 spares. And all of them are extended 9 round because it's a M&P Shield 9.
Yeah.
Same gun.
Mine's an M&P 2.0.
Yeah. The M&P Shield 9 is the most common carried law enforcement handgun. I figure I'll carry what the cops carry. What the hell? I had trouble getting used to it because I used to carry a 45 ACP, but it was bulky and heavy, and hard to conceal. And a buddy of mine said, hey, my mom, her boyfriend died and willed everything to her. Not like he had a hell of a lot anyway, but he willed everything to her. Well, one thing he willed to her was his firearms. Well, he says, she's got a 9mm for sale. I said, you got to be kidding. He goes, no. I said, what's she want for it? He goes, I don't know. Make an offer to her. So I called her up, went to the house, and looked at that 9mm, and I said, well, to just get it rolling, I said, will you take $200 for it? She goes, in cash? You got cash? I said, yeah. And she says, it's yours. $200. Jesus Christ.
So Sty, did you name your pistol?
It's a secret name.
Mine is Dirty Gertie.
Dirty Gertie. That's good.
And Dirty Gertie goes everywhere I go.
I'm gonna, here you go, you guys get a secret of Sty's. I named my gun Wanda. And
Wanda.
It's a nickname I had for my ex-wife. And Wanda just wanders around everywhere I go. Wanda's there, just wandering around me. So I named her Wanda, but I carried that, and then I carry a J22 old Jennings 22 in a sock holster. So, plus I carry 2 cans of pepper spray.
Yeah, my next is going to be a shield. I got the M&P 2.0 because it was a 17 round clip.
Yeah, yeah,
But it is quite heavy.
yeah. Yeah, for the clip capacity, it's nice. Now I can go to a 12 round clip on mine, but I get about an 1.5 inch drop out of the heel of the gun, and I don't like that drop. And I like the pistol grip just the way it is. I don't like the drop to it. But then I think of it too as, okay, I got, what is that? That's 36 rounds
So
that I carry in. So if I haven't settled things down in 36 rounds, I think the 36 rounds got their heads at least low enough. I got time to reload a clip or two, because I carry loose ammo in my pocket too. I got a speed loader, so it only takes about 30 seconds I can load.
Now, does the shield come with interchangeable grips?
You can change the grips out on them. Yeah.
Mine came with 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large.
Yeah. Now the Shield 9 really the interchangeable to it is really cosmetic. It's not ergonomic like I'd like to have it. I'd like to have a thumb spur on it so they can rest my thumb on a thumb spur, and I'd like to have it so that it wrapped over the heel of my hand. I didn't want that before, but now with my condition, I prefer it. I've lost a little bit of the accuracy because of the recoil, because my hands and arms just don't have the meat in them anymore.
Yeah.
And then them trying to take away pistol braces. I was going to get a pistol brace for it, but I'm holding back till that whole fucking thing settled. Because I'd like to have a pistol brace. The only problem with pistol brace, people don't think about that, is there are some states where you can get a permit to conceal and carry, but that state does not allow open carry.
Right.
So you don't want a pistol brace because you try to conceal that son of a bitch. I mean, yeah, you're going to leave a hell of a footprint. It's not very concealed. And that's what I don't like about the brace, is that amount of stock attached to the pistol makes it almost an open carry firearm, because it just, you can't hide that brace. I mean,
Maine is considered a constitution state, and a lot of people will argue the fact, well, you can conceal carry, so it's against the law to open carry, and it's not.
No.
If you're a concealed carry state, you can, if it's in the law, you can conceal carry or open carry.
Right. See, and that's Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you can open or conceal.
Yeah.
You can open carry without a permit, but you can't conceal and carry without a permit. So if I were to say, well, I'll just let my permit expire, I can still carry as long as it's in the open and can be seen. But that's difficult. That's difficult.
I got my concealed carry because, for the simple reason that there's 26 other states where I can conceal carry without having to get another permit.
Right. I don't know. I think Maine's included in Wisconsin's. We're reciprocal.
Yeah.
Reciprocal.
That's cool.
I think Maine is reciprocal to Wisconsin. Yeah.
I know North Carolina is.
I was going to go ahead and pay for Minnesota and Florida because I can get permitted in those two states without as long as you got the bucks to pay for it, they'll take it. But I could get Florida and Minnesota. That opens all of the states up except for two, Illinois and it's an eastern state. I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, look at Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Murder capital of the world.
You know, that's the thing is, would you touch a stovetop burner if it didn't hurt? Well, sure, I'd touch it. It's kind of stupid, but I'd still touch it because I'm not gonna have to pay a price for touching it. I'm not gonna. But because it does hurt, all you have to do is touch one once, and you'll never touch that sucker again. It's the same way with society. If there's a punishment for your action, you may never suffer that punishment. But if you do certain things, you will feel that pain. Well, by saying people can't protect themselves is telling the criminals, I get to hurt that person all I want.
Yep.
Because there's nobody to stop me there, because they don't have there's nothing to stop me. I can go into their house with a gun, and the best they can do is yell and scream at me or try to punch me. I'll shoot their ass because they ain't got a gun.
Yeah,
but boy, if there's a gun in that house and that criminal assumes that, yeah, they're cocked and loaded, ready to go.
That's why I don't get messed with.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, people know. People know.
Do you mind if I show Dirty Gertie, or would you rather?
No, as long as it's a quick show. Yeah. There she is. Yeah.
Beautiful girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everything except for the top part is composite.
Yeah, and that's what takes the weight out of them, boy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what make and model it was, but a buddy of mine had a little pocket 280 that he had just bought. He just took it out of the box, cleared the gun, and he says, "You want to check that out?" Here, he's not even checking it out. Well,
280 or 380?
380. And he says, "You want to check it out?" I said, "Sure." And I put my hand out for it, and he just slaps at my hand, pulls his hand away. I didn't even realize I had a gun in my hand. That son of a bitch was so light as a freaking feather. And I thought,
one of those.
And I thought, first thing I thought was, I told him, I said, "Let's throw a quick clean on it and let's shoot it." I said, "You got to have some ammo, right?" He goes, "I got a box ammo." I said, "I want to shoot it." And he goes, "Why are you so excited about shooting it?" I said, "I want to determine." I said, "I'm very familiar with firing the same gun, but with a steel frame. Everything's steel." I said, "So I want to see what kind of recoil I got to deal with." Shit. Hardly a change. Just a little more recoil, nothing much. And yet it's not like you take a 30-06 and put a composite stock on that 30-06. All of a sudden, crack, that sucker's trying to knock your shoulder out of its joint because it's so damn light. It's got that heavy barrel and the high caliber. That's something, bitch. You take the weight off of all of it, there's nothing to slow down that recoil except you. In the handgun, some of them kick like mules.
Yeah.
Others are so smooth and easy to hang on to.
Yeah, the Smith and Wesson there's a difference. I had a 40 Smith and Wesson.
Oh
And
yeah.
when you would shoot that, it would do this.
Oh yeah.
The 9mm does this.
Yep. A lateral recoil.
Yeah.
And that's what I like is I only had to mentally, I shouldn't say have to. I still have to. Mentally, I dropped the gun about a half inch on the recoil of a 9mm. My 45 ACP, I had to drop it 2 inches. 2 inches to be on target consistently. And that's on fast firing. You know, you're going to pop round after round after round after round. But you got to remember when as it takes the next round, some of that forward action helps tip the gun back down. But it's not enough to completely put it where your firing point was. So you have to just mentally, I have to drop the gun a hair every time I fire because it's taking me off aim. It's going up. If you just fire a bunch of rounds off, you just boom, 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 boom. Go look at the target and the rounds just like a ladder. Boom, 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 boom. You shot them from the chest to the chin. and when you learn to compensate, all of a sudden you got a cluster. It's all in the main core, you know. That I got to do next week is get out on the range and put 100 rounds through the M&P.
The ammo prices actually come back down again.
Yeah. When I buy it,
it was $30 for 59mm.
Yeah.
And now they're down to, depending on where you go, between 9 and 14.
I know locally here, well, my hollow points, they were up to $42 a box.
Wow.
And that's 20 round box from the hollows I was using. And yeah, this 20 round box. They're $42. And I just bought 4 boxes the other day, $20 a box, $19 a box.
Yeah,
so they went down $22. I mean, it's getting down there.
Yeah, the ones I got are probably 3 years old, so I need to take them out and shoot them and get some new ones.
That's what I'm doing too. I got to get out. I got about 600 rounds of old ammo.
I have that.
Oh yeah. And that's it. And I'm notorious for that. I'll get out a couple of years or more, and I'll go, damn, all this ammo. I got to go burn that up and just replace it, you know. And I'll go out. I'll shoot later this week. I'll go out, shoot 100, maybe 200, up to 200 rounds. And I go straight to the store and I restock what I shot for the day. And that's all new ammo. I got a piece of cardboard in my ammo can that separates the old from the new. And when finally I can pull that cardboard out of there, that's fresh ammo. I don't have to worry about it for a couple of years again. You know, it takes me about 4 months to shoot it all up. You know,
a couple of years back, my 2 sons here, we got together along with my daughter-in-law and my son's girlfriend and my granddaughter, and we all went out and we shot the AR-15 and the 9mm and the 380.
Yep. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck. Hey, Scum TV.
Seems I'm always a cluster on the firing range. Yeah. Oh, I've been on the range and had days where all my shooting was a CF. Yeah.
That's
But
another good thing here. As long as you're not in city limits, you can shoot anywhere.
that's here too. I love it. Up here in northern Wisconsin, heck, I drive 10 minutes down the road, boom, I'm in Forest Service. I step out of the truck, stand right in the ditch line, and pop, 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 pop. I shoot all I want. We got a couple old sand pits that only a few of us kind of know where they are, and I hope it stays that way. But we go out there. I got the portable stands for the targets, and I'll go set 4 targets out, and I've got one rack with the spinners on them. I put that up, sit out there and shoot all goddamn day, and there ain't a soul around. And a buddy of mine, he buys any old brass, and he buys it by the pound. So I go out there with one of those. It's got the long handle on it, but it's a litter box scoop is what it is. It's all sand out there. Shit, you can see where guys come out and practice. I just scrape the sand all around, and I'll end up with a 1/4 to a 1/2 of a 5-gallon bucket full of brass every time I go out there, and keeps the brass cleaned up. Plus, I don't know, a 5-gallon bucket, I make $10 on it or something, you know. So
did the price on reloading come down too?
I don't know.
That was at a point. I checked into that, and it just, the cost of it was just so outrageous, it wasn't worth it.
That's it. Is when I lived out in Montana, we did so much reloading. Oh my God. Hundreds of thousands of rounds. And
for quite a while there, Sty, the military went to 9mm, and you could buy surplus casings. You could get a whole 55-gallon barrel for under $500, and then they stopped that.
We had an outlet out there in Idaho that I'd go to, and I'd buy a lot of stuff from them, and they had military surplus ammo components, because they weren't allowed to sell the loaded ammo, but they could sell the lead out of it, they could sell the casing, they could sell the powder, everything. Well, I'd buy 30-06 rounds from them, and God, it was dirt cheap. I get casings and powder from them, and I bought the primers new and then the rounds, because I'm not shooting full metal jacket through a $600 fucking rifle. I'm not tearing up my rifle bore with that shit. So I buy my own particular favorite bullet for that system, hand load the fuckers, voice. And there's dirt cheap when you're coming out with 50-round box, and it costs you $4 to put the whole thing together. Yeah. But God, I remember as a kid, I had my first gun. I was 6 years old. I got a 22 single shot, and we'd go out and you'd plink all day long, man. You'd shoot 500 rounds. You'd plink all day long. But if I wanted to go squirrel hunting or something, then I'd regret those plinking days, and I shot all my rounds up, and I'm looking around the house, and I could find 4 or 5 22 long rifles. What the hell? That means I got to go to the hardware store. I go to the hardware store, and I'd buy 20 rounds of 22 caliber long rifles. People say, no, that's bullshit. Do a little digging and a little research. 29 cents. I paid 29 cents for a 20 round box of 22 ammo. And that was good ammo. You buy the cheap shit where you're going to get the occasional misfire out of them for 19 cents a box. I mean, 22 ammo was like buying penny candy, you know?
Yeah, I had a Marlin semi-automatic, one of those that you pulled the tube out by the top and 17 rounds would go in there.
Yep.
That was a good varmint weapon.
I got one of them. I got one sitting right upstairs.
Beautiful rifle. 17 long rifle shells in that.
Yeah, mine's a Glenfield, but it's a Marlin. It's made by Marlin, and yeah, it's a Glenfield, but it's the same gun. It's got the difference. The only difference I could find in the gun, literally, because all the components fit either gun. The only thing different is that Glenfield, they made them all with birch stocks. The stocks were made out of birch, so they're blonde colored. They're a very light, that looks like a very light oak. Mine is getting dark just from age, you know, but it's been in a lot of smoky backwoods cabins over the years. It was built in 1960, so she's an old gun. But yeah, tube slide, 17 rounds, and I made a bunch of what we call fast loaders, and we just made them out of I can't remember what size truck it was, but it was a truck. Anyway, we bought brake line. It was cheap back then. Brake line was cheap. Not anymore. But we just bought brake line and we'd snip it at the right length that it would hold. After we crimp the one end, it would hold 17 rounds and the cork in the end of it. And you'd put 10 of those tubes stick it in your backpack.
Well, you were ready.
That's 170 rounds that you carry in your backpack, plus the 17 in the gun. And it was so sweet because you just pull the tube out of the gun, grab a tube out of there, and literally pop the cork and dump it into, and you slide the tube back down. And people always said, Christ, you load your gun in about the same time as it takes to grab an arrow, cock it, and fire.
Yep. Pull that cork out.
Yep. So quick. Those were the days. Jesus Christ. As kids, we figured that shit out. We didn't need grown-ups to tell us how to do that. The grown-ups told us how to use that gray matter.
Yeah.
Be creative. Create something. If you don't have it, make something that'll work, you know. Yeah.
I have to leave, my man, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
For letting me come up.
Absolutely. It was good to have you up here, brother.
I hope to do it again.
Yes. You're good company. It's been a good show today. Yeah.
It has. You've been on 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours and 19 minutes. Holy Lord.
All right, You take care, Sty.
You betcha, sir.
And I hope you're still around tomorrow.
Yep, so do I.
Take care, man.
You bet. We'll see you again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Well, folks, what an interesting day, huh? We got into all kinds of conversations about different topics, different things. I love it. Having Grandpa's Adventures come up on the panel, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'll tell you what, folks, we're going to be wrapping this up now. As I do every Sunday, I look forward to next Sunday. That's right. I always target next Sunday. In my condition, that's brave to make plans out a week ahead. But that's one plan I always plan on making. And it's a promise someday I won't be able to keep. But while I can, I promise you, we'll be back here next Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time, right here at the Sty Shack. Never know who will be on panel. We'll hang out. We'll chat. We'll all support each other until we see each other next time. Now, you do know how we leave, don't you? Of course, old Sty's got to play that clip of me dancing with that pretty girl on the front porch. She's wearing a fur coat. She loves her fur coat for some reason. And with that, I'm going to go out on the porch, do the jig, and I'll see you all next week. See you, Justin, Marine Mom, Woods Runner, all of you. You all have a great week. Bye-bye, folks.